Okay, we're about to open this regular meeting of the Gilliam County Court. It's Wednesday, December 19th. We're at the North Gilliam County Rural Fire Protection Building in Arlington, Oregon. First order of business that we have is the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first thing we have on our agenda is, let me ask first, do we have any additions or revisions to the agenda that we have discussed? We got everything changed on all the last minute stuff, yeah. Right? Yeah, okay. Nothing? Okay, there being nothing, we'll open up to public comment. This is for individuals wishing to address the court. The only thing that we ask is that you state your name, address, telephone number, social security number, whatever. I see no volunteers. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead. Dewey, you're sitting here. We're a few minutes early, but let's go ahead and get started with you, and we'll move on. We've got a couple of things here with you. We've got your quarterly report, and then also we have an agreement for the Lonerock Bridge. Yes. So we'll try and cover both of them soon. Okay.
Okay. Nothing really new to report other than what was sent. It's been busy. Fire seasons were pretty extensive this year. The biggest thing there is, sounds like we've got the radio thing figured out so that we will be able to communicate with our fire department now, or they'll be able to communicate with us. I don't know if you've had a chance to drive to Lonerock. The Lonerock paving project is done. Turned out fabulous.
You did.
Turned out fabulous. It's really good. Having some speed issues now.
Okay.
So we got to go out, and I knew there'd be some issues coming up. We need to put some slow signs up there around Camel's feedlot, their Krell feedlot operation there. They had a truck pass a feed truck the other day, caused a little bit of turmoil, but yeah, the signs are signs. People might pay attention, but then again, they might not. But other than that, if you get a chance, go out there. It turned out the project did. RBC, the fiber outfit, has been going. Had some issues with them. They were starting up just about the time we were finishing with Lonerock, so I wasn't able to be there. They were plowing right in the county road. Had to go out and make some adjustments.
Yeah.
I shut the job down for about 3 hours. We had to have a come-to-hard deal where the fiber was supposed to go. They fixed it all. Everything now is where it's supposed to be. They are completed from the intersection of Highway 19 and Wolf Hollow all the way through to the county line.
Okay.
I just drove that this morning. Other than Wolf Hollow and Fleck Grade, Zayo is actually paying us to put that back into the type of condition that I want. So the guys they're hauling rock and finish grading that today.
Okay. So
then that'll be done until spring, and then there might be a little touch-up work in the spring that we'll have to do. But Zayo's been great to work with. I drove the condon fiber project with Lake Lawrence and Wind Lake, which is the project from Blaylock to Condon. Had the same issue with him. They had different plans where they wanted to lay the fiber. You put the fiber on the inside of the road, on the back side of the ditch, so that it doesn't impact our roads at all. Mm-hmm. Met with his contractor, which are the guys that are working from out there from Wolf Hollow to Condon now. Mm-hmm. They're all good with it.
Okay.
So it's just putting stuff in the ground. They just need to know where it needed to go. The 84 speed loader that we got from Untitled County, it's in the shop. It might be running today. We've got the screen mounted on it. Gary's mounting all the hydraulics and stuff. They were doing that yesterday and then again this morning, so If the weather holds like it is, we'll probably have it out and run it.
Okay.
For that. Fall grading's done. We got all the way through, it was dry, terrible dry this year. Got rain just right after we were finished, so we started back over again and grading again. And I got a call this morning from the developers that are doing this wind farm project. And he said that the gravel roads in Gilliam County are better than most of the gravel roads in the country. Better maintained, so. I'll make sure I pass that on to the guy. Yeah. And then I like to say that it's just been a hectic fall. Finishing up and just keeping up with the wind farm, the 2 wind farm projects, that going on. The wind farm going, they're a little rattled right now at this time. They're just getting started. Keeping them, you know, under my eyes so that I know where they're going, how they're doing, make sure they follow the road use agreement and stuff. And then Hood River Sand and Gravel, they're really not impacting us very much, but other than just the industrial park with the repower project.
Right.
And then I was asked by the chamber lady to assist with the
Is that your daughter?
Condon or
Could be.
Arlington?
yes, if there was any way we could assist with the rebuild of the Mountain Identifier project. They've got donations and stuff for that. I went and looked at it. Basically what we need to do is take it down to the old original foundation, pour a new solid round deal. My presentation to her, or what I asked her was if we could put like a basalt rock face on it instead of that red rock. The red rock is dissolving. I don't know when it was built, it's been there a long time. But put hard basalt on it instead, and then steel markers instead of the brass stuff, so.
Okay.
It's mostly just gonna be time. They have money for all the materials, so it's just mostly just gonna be a little bit of time to wipe it off, clean it up, and then form it for it, do the other stuff. Yes,
So will you be the one who inlays the steel markers? I guess, okay.
Yeah.
Done at
We
the
would
time.
basically, somebody would build those, but we would do everything else
Okay.
on it.
Okay.
It'd be kind of a busy work project. You know, just a couple of guys and just a little bit of time.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with our crew doing something like that?
Sounds good.
Yeah?
It's good to get that redone. I think it's definitely a marker.
Mhm. I don't
Well
know. Do
used.
you remember when it was put in?
I don't.
No.
It's been there as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
You know,
the
mid-60s, yeah.
But all the brass plaques are gone.
Right.
They've been
Oh,
stolen or whatever, and somebody's put steel plaques that they just pinned. You can't hardly read them.
Yeah.
But the concrete's broken, the arrows are gone, and it's in pretty poor shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
who does it belong to?
It's on ODOT right away,
Yeah.
and ODOT is going to put new signs up. They will keep the snow plowed and that kind of stuff. But as far as maintenance, Kayleen said that she has a 4-H club that's willing to do garbage cleanup and just keep an eye on it.
Well, I think, you know, as far as the county's contribution to this and supplying the road crew to build it, I think that's.
And like I say, it'll be, you know,
Yeah.
a couple of guys, a couple of hours here, there.
Yeah.
And that, so.
Again, for me, I'm in favor of, having the crew do something like that, so.
Part of community development, I guess,
Yeah, yeah,
our tourism
yeah.
program.
Yeah.
And right now, we got, it's the end of the year, it's the user lose it vacation time, so I'm down to a 4 and 5 man crew most days. Sometimes there's only gonna be 3 of us there till the end of the year, so we're just, like I say, doing little cleanup projects and stuff,
Okay.
so.
So, you know, one thing that I guess I heard the latter part of last week was that Elite, the Condon Wind Farm, is going to be repowering also.
Okay.
Not really sure what that all will entail. My understanding, based on the information that I received, it looks like new towers, new nacelles, new blades.
Oh, great.
So it's going to be, you know, a major, well, they're calling it a repowering. Of course, Pacific Power down here is calling it a upgrading.
Right.
Going to be interesting. It really doesn't have a whole lot of impact on the road department, though, does it? I mean,
Well, depending on what they do, the issue they have with the Condon Wind Farm is the tower bases. Is, you know, they've gone in, they've done a lot of grout work and stuff to try to stabilize those. They
Sure.
might have to do more of that. If that comes in, they'll need rock,
Okay.
which they normally get from us, but
Okay.
for the most part, no.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
won't
there's a-
impact us. But
Yeah.
I got a call this morning from Omega Morgan, who's, they're gonna be handling all the components for this Montague Wind Farm project.
Right.
The blades are too long to come by train.
Yeah.
So they're gonna go by train to Boardman, and then they can't come through town because they can't make the corner under the freeway.
Right.
So they've gotta come across Ray Road. So they have to make improvements to both ends of Ray Road so they can make the turn. They're 67 meters, I think that's 220 feet long. They're long.
Yeah.
And so they've got to make improvements to both intersections, on both ends of Ray Road, Montague, to get onto Montague with them, and then again at Baseline.
Okay.
Which Montague and Baseline, we've already discussed those with ODOT and with Rez, the contractor, but this end here is something different. But that's something that the contractor, they will do it. They'll make the improvements, and at the end of the project, it'll all have to be removed and put back the way it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of work coming up.
Lots of work. It's going to be a busy winter, and probably the next year will be very busy.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, I think one of the things, the person that I was talking to yesterday on the Elite project, which again probably won't impact us too awful much, but it's all around the production tax credit.
Mhm.
You know, they needing to make purchases before the end of the fiscal year, so that they fall under the right now it's going to be at 60% as opposed to the Montague project down here is a full 100% that we see, but it's stair stepping down.
Right.
And I don't really know what's going to happen with some of the leaning juniper. Again, part of that, I think it's Pebble Springs they're working on now. Well, there's Pebble Springs, leaning juniper
Yeah.
1 and leaning juniper 2A and B.
Right.
And it's kind of,
Yeah, they're going up to the Stone Ranch, so it's whatever
they can do
that
there.
is up there.
okay, so, all right. I guess, it's, that it's sort of, when we begin discussing rock, there's always this issue that goes on between, private and
Yes.
and government competing, and really in the Condon area, there isn't a whole lot of alternatives for them to be able to get rock, is there?
Right, without bringing a contractor in and
Okay.
doing a large direction. With this wind farm that's going out here, we don't
Yeah.
supply anything
Yeah.
for that. So that's all coming out of a private quarter.
Okay. Do you know who's crushing?
Yeah.
The alley is,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right, I guess I'm done.
Okay,
Picking your brain, I guess.
all right.
We'll move into the engineering services agreement.
Yeah. After, I got the agreement, I sent it to everybody. Sandy sent it to Ruben. Ruben had comments. Monday morning, I got on the phone with Anderson Perry, after talking with Commissioner Weimer about what we need to do, and basically what they have is just built in there for, it's mostly the historical, the SHPO stuff, the biological, and the wetland determination, stuff like that. They just have a basic price set in there. They don't know what's going to happen with that stuff. They were able to make some adjustments in that to get us down to the threshold. And I don't think this is a decision that has to be made today. The sooner the better, just because of the time frame. If we get bridge design, get all of our work done, get us on the bid list prior to some bigger projects. I don't know how many contractors, actually, with talking with Anderson Perry, how many contractors are really going to jump at our bridge just because we're so far out of the way, and it's going to cost so much to get materials to us. But at the same time, if the bridge can be built while we have a big batch plant in the area, might actually help the project come along a little bit too.
So I reviewed this, and the first thing that stuck out was the amounts that came back. We used the informal bidding process.
Right.
And that has a $250,000 cap. This initially came back at $260,000, so that was concern number one. Looks like Anderson Perry has been able to revise some things and get it down to the $250,000. The other concern is that as part of the bidding process, we provided a sample contract that's the master contract. The kind of overlying has all the terms like insurance, has all the indemnity terms that we need in it. So what Anderson has provided, I don't think should be the master contract to this, but it's a really good scope of work. So what I would like to do is use our sample contract that we provided. They shouldn't have any problems with it because we've already provided it to them.
Right.
As the controlling document, this will be the scope of work, and then we'll have the various other exhibits. So this is a really good start, but it's not ready for the court to go through and do a final approval on.
Okay. Okay.
Well, the $10,000, maybe we need a little explanation on how of this, to get it to the 250. And then the question comes up, any change orders that increase pushes it back over that number.
Right. Yes.
And
It does, and there's a provision in our code that allows us to deal with that when it comes up. It's a little bit disappointing because the initial estimates we had, we were thinking about 150,000.
Right.
Now it's 250. So we do have the option of saying, well, this negotiation didn't go the way that we want to, we're going to go with our next choice down the line. We had two companies that came in that we liked very well.
Right.
And I really like Brad with Anderson Perry. I like working with him. I trust what he does. But that's the court's decision. If the court wants to say, well, maybe we want to go down to the next person. But we can deal with change orders and things. We have a process to do that.
right. I just didn't know how that 250 limit worked into that additions, like after the fact sort of thing. And the fact that they came in and knocked 10,000 off just to get it under the wire, and then down the road they're going to throw back in these change orders to push it back over again.
And really, if you read when I read what's there, it's kind of gives them that option to be able to do
Which
that.
it does with just about every.
Yeah,
everything like
and
that.
really,
They cover themselves regardless.
Right, whenever I think you're talking historical and cultural resources reviewed, and
Well,
you're definitely, you have no idea what that might be.
And one thing about
Biological.
about this project is, they just completed a project there 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did the water project, which crossed the creek, which did stuff all around the ridge.
Uh-huh.
So, you know, they should have most of that work already completed in the general area.
Okay.
And then the bridge was replaced in 1958, so I don't know how much historical could be left.
Well, I told Dewey we had to watch out for the Lonerock man.
Yeah.
You know, like the Kim McMahon.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
So, you know, if it's up to the court, you know, we can wait and.
Well, I think, yeah, Ruben's, wait until we get this document, the scope of work, virtually into our contract. Is that what you're suggesting?
Well, not quite. If we're going to go with Anderson Perry and
Right.
keep going down this road, then yes, that would be the next step. But if
Yeah.
we want to take a step back and negotiate with the
Other party.
disqualified party, then now would be the time to do that.
Can we negotiate with them first? I mean,
Right, we
is
can also
this- is this just
negotiate with
set?
Anderson Perry.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. We can.
What was that again?
So,
Negotiate with Anderson Perry, and I'll see if we can figure out a way of getting this a little bit cheaper.
But if, I mean, if the dollar amount is, I mean, you were saying, I didn't remember a dollar amount when we looked at these RFPs
Wasn't it
to
a
begin
percentage of
with.
the project?
well, one of the companies that responded to the request for qualifications, I believe, did work on a percentage basis of the project as general, but we never sat down and negotiated with them. The way the rule's written, that we're doing this qualifications under, we take the one that is, without considering price, we take the
Right.
one that we consider the most qualified, we start with them, we negotiate with them. If we can't reach agreement, then we break off the negotiations and we go on to the next one. So it's not a situation where the rule suggests we can negotiate with multiple parties simultaneously.
No,
So I wouldn't recommend doing that.
no.
So should we get Anderson Perry to come and present to us and then try to negotiate with them? Is that what you're saying, or?
That's something that we could do. I'm not saying that necessarily we have to do that, or, I mean, it's really up to the court what you would like to do. If you wanted to go to Anderson Perry and go, look, this is just too much, or I don't like X, Y, and Z, that's a decision for the court. I would, from a legal standpoint, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with what they're wanting to do here, but I'm not an engineer, I'm not Dewey. It's just up to the court as to whether this is an acceptable proposal or not, or if you want to go back to the other.
Where did we come up with 150?
That was,
Well, we were talking about, I think it was like 50% or 10% of
The total
the
project?
cost of the total project, which we were looking at roughly, you know, it was, I think,
This is-
1.3 million or
Yeah,
something.
this is
This one's like,
5.9%
yeah,
of the 1.5 million.
yeah,
Is what's their original.
right.
I didn't do this, but right around 5% of the project.
And what are we at now?
Well, it's showing that the total construction cost is $1,275,000, so,
Right.
let me get my calculator out here. It's at about 19%, almost 20%.
Is that what it is?
Yeah,
The 250?
the 250 is.
That seems a little high, doesn't it?
Isn't that right, Dewey? I mean, it's 250,000 divided by,
It's pretty close.
Mhm.
And what were we thinking, it was gonna be around 10%?
yeah, well, it seemed to me that there was some discussion about, and some of the proposals that had come to us was, it would be right around the.
Off of some of the samples that we had.
Yeah, the engineering costs and everything would be about 10% of the overall cost of the job. But, you know, again, there's a lot of this stuff, I just wonder, this body making these kind of decisions, it concerns me occasionally. We have very little knowledge.
Mhm. Yeah, this would be the only bridge,
Yeah,
you know, that I'll probably do in my career.
right.
Yeah.
'Cause I've been 18 years trying to get this bridge,
Yeah.
so.
So is the overall cost, I mean, it's been estimated, but is that going to jump up too much too? I mean, if this came in high, is the whole cost going to go up?
Well, it's still, everything come in at $1.5 million when you consider in the, you know, the engineering and everything costs. It's $1,525,230, so.
Right.
but,
And that's what the state estimated, that's what,
Yeah,
the HBRR, that was what it is, and then, you know, we have our 10.27% match
Right.
on that, which will be, we will build and maintain the detour road. We have all the backfill material, everything is already produced there. So there should be no money come out of,
no more money than what we
Right.
originally planned.
yes. Yeah.
But we know the state can be wrong too. And then what happens? I mean, if this thing actually ends up costing $2 million, who picks up the extra?
Well, we do.
Huh?
We do. But, yeah. That's, you know, once the project goes to bid, you know, if it's too much, then we can't build it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's something that we need to commit to, though. This is, again, you talked 18 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't really this body that kind of really kept everything slowed down. It was,
It's
you know, bridge funds through
it's
the state.
the federal bridge.
Yep.
Right.
These
So
are federal
it's, you know,
dollars.
we can beg all we want, but
Yeah.
if they don't make it available to us,
Right.
you know, it's finally available, and now, you know, it's kind of use it or lose it. kind of
Right.
thing.
Oh, yeah, and we, yeah,
You know,
kind of in a corner on this bridge.
We really are.
I've got right around 300,000 in my bridge replacement fund
Sure.
for cash, so there's, you know, we do have that, but, you know, nowhere near enough if the cost doubles.
Right, right.
Which
Well-
one thing that's nice about this Anderson Perry is that they have done an estimate of construction costs.
They did a very good job on a lot of that, and.
They
yeah.
build a lot of bridges, their firm does. They're busy in, you know, all over the state,
Mhm.
mostly on the east side, so they're used to dealing with, you know, with rural areas and stuff.
Yeah. I just know SWCD had a nasty surprise here a little while back.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And that was, you know, we don't want one of those.
Well, we had that wonderful library situation that I think, when we remodeled the library, it seemed like we ended up with change order after change order
Oh, yeah.
after a change order, and, you know.
And
This one's a little more,
Yeah, and with the bridge, you know, you never know what's underneath the ground.
yeah,
Yeah.
They do have the old pile driving records. I have all of that, so they have an idea, but now they'll come out and they'll core sample. That's part of that, it's part of their geological stuff. They'll core sample, so they'll know what what they've got and how deep they're gonna have to go for their footage for their abutments and stuff.
Okay. So, and, you know, your professional opinion, does it seem really high? I mean,
With talking with everybody else, this is, I think it's just the standard.
okay.
What it is, I think it's the standard, what the engineering firms, it's a percentage of the project.
Mhm.
You know, it looked good to me, but that's why Ruben's doing it.
Yeah.
I'm more the nuts and bolts, this other
Right.
end of it.
Well, the
Again.
the one thing I know right now is, that, you know, the demand for construction, you know, is pushing the prices of these things up, and we don't want necessarily to take a gamble and that we're gonna get money down the road to do it, and it'll probably won't be any cheaper by then.
Oh, no.
So I think, you know,
That's a really good point, Mike, yeah.
I just needed to hear all this to be able to, you know, come to a decision beyond my knowledge, you know, that it seems like, even though it seems high, I think we'd probably be ahead to go ahead and keep negotiating with them.
Yeah, see if we can negotiate some of these.
It might just take a face-to-face explanation.
Yeah.
Honestly, I
That's, yeah,
like I say, that's just way outside my,
that's where, you know, it's, in going through all of this, I was like, okay, they could come and talk to me until they're blue in the face, and, you know, it would be like, okay, this is what it's gonna take to go to the moon. You know,
well, I went through a page
You
to
know,
page
it's-
and marked the
It's,
change.
it's gonna sink in, but it's really gonna
It all seems
be
the same.
completely out of my, and I know it's not gonna be any better a month from now or 6 months from now. You know?
Tell them we'll do it if they make sure they design in a steel head on the side of the bridge.
Little wheat stalks and, yeah. So what do you, Ruben, I guess what you're, my gut feeling on this is that we, you know, have Dewey negotiate, see if there's some places, you had the conversation with, this is my opinion, you had the conversations with Anderson and Perry, and, you know, ultimately, I think this body thought we were looking at roughly 10% of the overall
Okay,
cost of the project being in the engineering and planning portion of it. I guess some sort of explanation to this body that would say, we're justifying it going to roughly 20%.
Right.
I will contact them.
Okay.
Have a meeting with them and possibly have them come and talk to, I guess it will be the new commission.
Yeah, I just.
The other thing that works into this is a small bridge.
It
This
is.
is just a small project.
Oh, yeah.
And so when your overhead gets higher for small projects, that's all there is to it. You've got so much to do. I mean, it costs you so much if you build a great big bridge, except don't count the Columbia River crossing in that one. But anyway, that could be the reason it is a higher number too.
Yeah.
But to get, to hear them, that would be good. I mean, I don't want to negotiate something down to where it's, you know, turns out not to be a good project.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
I don't want to have to go out and explain to the Lonerock people. They're a good hard driving community.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would be good, it would be good to hear from them. This is probably perfectly in the norm of engineering costs. I'm always surprised by how much it costs,
Mhm.
so just to hear them explain it would be.
Okay, no, I will do that, see if I can get them
You
to
know,
come.
again.
I'm sure they will.
Right. I just think that, you know, the county court ought to have somebody who has a little bit more knowledge and,
Yeah.
you know, in discussing this. I would suggest that they bring in Jeff Schott also and making sure that, you know, we have a good idea. Again, it's, you know, I know to me it would be Greek and I'm positive it's going to be to the next group also,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah.
The problem with that though is they were the competing
Yeah.
Yeah.
group in the RFP.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if
He
we
was
do
part-
drop back to him, might not
He was
look
part-
good.
He was part of the
other-
competing group.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, whether Brad DeHart or somebody with the state, I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can do that also.
That's an idea.
Okay,
Bad.
all right, okay.
One additional thing, if there's any contacts with the agency where we're getting the grant funds that has some personnel that can take a look at this.
I can talk to members of the bridge committee. There's a couple of road officials that are on that committee. So I know personally, so I'll give them a call and get their input.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, when you only do one of these in a lifetime,
yeah.
we got a lot of learning.
A lot of the information I've got from Tom Fellows. He's the Public Works Director, Roadmaster of Umatilla County. He's actually on the bridge committee. He's given me lots of information, lots of contacts, and that's who I'll call and talk to.
Okay,
Okay?
all right.
Good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, I would really like to thank Judge Shaffer and Commissioner Weimer for your years and helping with everything we've done. So, thank you.
We've accomplished a lot.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things was the transportation package
Yes.
and the amount of funds that we get
Yes.
coming in here.
Which-
There was a lot of work that went
Yeah,
involved in
yeah.
that, so.
So, yeah, hopefully we can keep doing good things.
But they kept telling me it was gonna be 800,000, and we're down around 6, and I'm going, you know, it's better than nothing.
Better than
but-
nothing, so,
Yeah.
we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
Yep.
So, hey,
Thank you, Dewey.
You bet.
Everything you've done, so. Okay. Well, you know, we have a few minutes here. Actually, we have about 10 minutes. Maybe there's a few of these items and action items that we can kind of pick up on. I guess one of the first ones is the Port of Arlington's request for the release of budgeted funds that we have. This is really, I think, it's part of the irrigation project and the firm that they have in that's doing the feasibility study. Item 2.2. Right there, CES. It's in the amount of $5,383.82.
Does this complete the feasibility study?
I don't believe it does.
I think we'll have one
more.
One
Yeah. It's gonna be close.
This does bring us to $16,508 total of the $17,000 that was allotted for the court.
How much do we anticipate the next payment will be?
I would ask Peter.
I'm not exactly sure. I think, we're right on budget, so what they said, it's not going to go wrong.
It's only gonna be $500?
Well, I move we approve the request for release of budgeted funds in the amount of $5,383.82 to the irrigation project for Arlington.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the release of funds for the Port of Arlington's feasibility irrigation project in the amount of $5,383.82. I guess those funds will be coming out of the SIP discretionary fund. Any further discussion on it?
No.
There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So also, I'm going to drop down to item 2.5. This is the conduit fiber project. We have a bill here from Inland Development Corporation in the amount of $337,803.03. which is our portion of them meeting, I guess, phase 1 of the road. Milestone 1, let's use the right term, I guess.
We've seen this before, haven't we?
I don't, I believe it got emailed to all of us.
Sometime back.
So, yeah,
I mean,
looks
that's
like
why.
the 5th of December.
Yeah.
I think it, come in at our
Late.
last court meeting,
Right.
the day of, so. The way I understand it, these funds, actually, we pay the city of Condon. They were gonna be the financial manager of this project.
No,
Anybody?
We pay them directly?
no, you guys decided that that's not what you wanted to do.
Okay.
You guys are billed, you pay inland directly, we pay inland
Okay.
directly.
Right.
All right. That was so controversial, ridiculous. So, okay, yeah.
So
Paramount.
this, I mean, this is in line with what was originally decided.
Right, yeah, the agreement that we had, yeah.
The back page has
The city has a hundred,
milestone.
yeah, the city has 162,196.97, which is their portion, the 32% of the 500,000, and ours is 67.56%.
I move we approve this invoice in the amount of $337,803.03 to Inland Development fiber build invoice.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the payment to Inland Development Corporation in the amount of $337,803.03 on the fiber project. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Just hooray, we got it.
Well,
First payment.
First payment's gone out.
We're
Yeah.
really doing it.
We're moving along, yeah. I guess, I think we can take a look at the board committee appointments that has been sent to us, item 2.3. It's pretty self-explanatory. Sandy had done some work in communicating with these people to see if they were willing to continue their positions. Kind of like one, Compensation Board, Gary Miller, Walter Powell, John Qualls, Cultural Coalition, Leslie Hammer and Judy Berry. There's still 2 vacant seats on that. Fair Board is Cris Fitzsimmons. Planning Commission, Wade Johnson. Special Transportation Fund Advisory Committee, Dave Klein, John David Dean, Don Parm. The Statewide Transportation Improvement Funds Advisory Committee is John David Dean, Ann Dean, Riley Bennett, Dave Klein, Don Parm, Geraldine Bennett, Thomas Romer, sorry, yeah. Mike Cronk, Crystal Holmes, Shirley Ledlow.
So real quick on this, just for clarification, that's a brand new committee, the STIF. So the STF, right above it, has existed.
Oh.
STIF is a new committee that's required by the new grant program. And so that's why there's so many and they have the staggered terms. So that's a brand new committee being assigned.
Okay.
How did we get these names? How did we get these people?
Marla
Recruited.
solicited and recruited.
Public Health, North Central Public Health Board, Leslie. The Coordinated Care Community Advisory Committee, Jennifer Bold, Lisa Helms. Apparently Mike Takagi decided not or hasn't returned.
I have left a lot of messages for Mike and he's never called back.
Yeah, they meet at noon time, and it's been difficult for him to be able to get there. We do need, I think it's important to get representation to come from the clinics. So far, we haven't had that. Norcor Budget Committee, Don Jameson. North Central Public Health Budget Committee, Lori Anderson. The Community Counseling Solutions Advisory Board, Sabrina Wagner. And then the Lower John Day Area Commission on Transportation. City representatives, we have Catherine Greiner with Bill Rosenbaum as an alternate.
Well, most of these, it's hard to get people to volunteer for.
Yeah, if they're willing to say yes, I
Yeah.
see no reason for us not to.
The planning commission is a little different, I think. It's one that could possibly have other people interested.
Planning Commission and
There was no.
the Fair Board is.
Yeah.
From the
Well, the fair board usually comes forward with their recommendation.
recommendation, and I guess
And
that's
they
what's
they
happening.
did, their recommendation was Cris.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And so, is it something that we advertise for, even though we've got somebody on some of these positions? I mean, prior to going ahead and reappointing people?
Are you talking about in the past, do we do that?
Well, no, I mean, for a lot of, these positions, some of these, like the planning commission, not, that's probably the one I'm really thinking about, because the ones, the North Central, like North Core and all those, they're not, you're gonna be lucky to find people
Yeah, yeah,
who want to do them.
right.
But, when we have openings, we definitely need to advertise. But I just remember in the past, planning commission, more than one person would be interested in a seat. And then it was a matter of us choosing who was. I know I didn't get chosen.
Well, okay.
Still upset.
But a planning commission is, that's a lot of power in that planning commission.
Yes, yeah.
It's way different, I think, than most of these other positions.
But, and knowing that too, it's quite a commitment of time. I
Yeah,
guess, where Wade Johnson, I think, has been on the planning commission for about 8 years now.
yeah,
And wanting to, is agreed to want to do it again. I guess that's where, I'm not really sure whether,
He's the chairman, too.
yeah. Yeah.
and
I mean,
the rules for them, I'm not sure either. But like the planning commission probably has certain rules about who's on,
Well, yeah, there were.
some of them have term limits too.
They wanted like a city representative from each one of the, they wanted a representative from each one of the cities. They wanted, representatives from.
So all our code says is that the planning commission will be appointed by the county court, and the county court will make it every possible attempt to balance out the geographic and
Okay.
interests of the county. There's no assigned zones for this city or that city or this, a farmer and a
Right.
whatever. None of that is established.
Well,
But it
that's,
was 16, years longer than that. I remember going through that, and them discussing, asking me to be on it, so.
So I'm fine then with Wade, reappointing. And the other question is, if it's just a formality, then the court here today can do it. If there's, the new court is the one that has to work with these people for, you know. And I don't remember 12 years ago
Yeah.
whether that was done before I got on it or not.
Well, I think every year at this time, we end up with these appointments, specifically compensation board. You know, the ones that are a little bit new, Fair Board Planning Commission, normally they bring back recommendations to us. But there's always been openings too with those.
Okay.
Whereas this time, it's just a matter of a term expired.
Well, it's our last chance
Yeah.
to influence the direction of the county.
Right.
I'm moving.
Well, what I can say is that, you know, in 6 years of dealing with getting people involved in the compensation board, budget committee,
Oh, I know that.
all of those, it's been difficult to recruit them, and I don't know why the next court would say, geez, they want to go out and try and.
Oh, no,
recruit,
like
you
I say, I mean, there's the ones like the planning commission, though.
Right.
Is a little different than the other boards.
Yeah.
Well, I move we approve the committee appointments as presented in the handout that Judge read out for the, for those, well.
Yeah, positions, I guess.
Huh?
For these positions,
Right,
I guess.
just for those positions,
Yeah.
right.
So,
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the committee members as appointed based on the handout received. I butchered that, didn't I? Any further discussion? Okay, there being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, Peter, a couple minutes late. I keep looking for a clock in here, and there isn't one.
Clock.
Yeah. Okay.
Thought we would.
So,
For the record, Peter Mitchell, Port Arlington, Port Manager, and Economic Development.
yeah, that's good.
So, I understand this is your last court hearing. Thought it'd be kind of fun to maybe go over a few projects that we've done together over the years. You've served this court for 12 years, and you've been here for 6 years, and now Commissioner Weatherall will become the senior member of the court. But I thought it'd be kind of fun to go over the projects that we've worked on over the last 7 years. So, you know, we've come a long way in Arlington. I found this picture down there at the library, but it's a 1-horsepower barge that would go back and forth across the Columbia River. But we've put in boat ramps. One of the first projects we worked on here was the boat ramp there at the Port of Arlington. Today you see a lot of fishermen that enjoy our river now. They can come in and fish there. Some of the best bass and walleye fishing in the river. We built the A-Town launch site. It's enjoyed by lots and lots of people. Wonderful recreation. You've invested heavily in the golf course in Arlington, the swimming pool in Condon, and other recreational amenities. One of the big projects we took on up in Condon was removing all the asbestos up there at the radar base and making that facility more usable for industrial development. The Columbia Manor Community Center. You see there's Mike with his cowboy hat digging away. And
Don't even remember it.
wonderful, wonderful project. The community's beginning to use that facility more and more all the time. It's just a wonderful, wonderful facility, and that's thanks to your effort. Another big project that we did was the in-situ building. This created a really nice test flight facility. The in-situ people fly the Scan Eagle drones. So you see all the fires that we have today, you saw them down there in California. Chances are it's a Scan Eagle that's there doing the reconnaissance work for the firefighters, and down there on the border, and of course it has military applications as well. But they test fly them at right here in Arlington, so we can be proud that they're home to us, and it's thanks to you guys for supporting that project. The one we've been steadily improving the marina. A big project that got done was putting in the fuel dock. There was no fuel on the river from the Dalles to Hermiston, and we finally got a fuel dock. This is one of the first fuel docks that have been put in the river in maybe like 45 years or so. So it was a big accomplishment, and thanks to you guys, we got that done. So today, you see pretty good boats showing up here, filling up with fuel, and come in and they go into Arlington and buy
That one
their
there needs
provisions.
fuel?
Yeah, yeah. Believe it or not, it doesn't sail too good up and down the Columbia River. Maybe in the old days they had to, but if you had to tack that river in that boat, you probably wouldn't come up this far. You know, of course, the wheat crop is our single biggest crop. We did a lot of work to protect it. This was over here on the right was the picture of us working on the bank. Small business program. This court, you have been just sensational at helping small businesses. A lot of them restaurants. We wouldn't have good places to eat. The hotels don't work well if they don't have restaurants. And you have been incredibly supportive of this program. And this is just a couple. I think I was looking at the records. There's been 19, 20 people that the port has done directly, and the county court, of course, has taken on several outside of that. So it's had a tremendous impact on our local communities. We got the waste management to donate to both chambers, and that also helps our small businesses because we can do some advertising, some more quality of life stuff. It's had a tremendous impact on our community. With your support, we were able to attract a company to install one of the first level 3 electric vehicle chargers on I-84. I got tired of hearing them talk about the E-highway.
Yeah.
And they were talking about I-5. So we took this project on, and today we get quite a few, more and more all the time, electric vehicles coming in and charging at this station. Of course, not everything's been coming up roses, but this is probably the most devastating day that we had in Arlington, or in Gilliam County, was the removal of the barge dock. This dock gave us the opportunity to have intermodal and ship containers of waste material into the county and be able to ship rock out of the county. And it was really a devastating project that we were made to pull this out. And it wasn't lack of effort. The port board, we went all the way to Washington, D.C., met with the congressmen, we met with the senators. Old Tim Weatherall, he just darn near tackled Senator Wyden to make sure he talked to us while we were there. He was running down the hall, dragging a suitcase behind him. I thought it was going to be a wreck for sure. But we tried hard on that. And Lord knows how many colonels that we ended up meeting with that came out. We ran through them. I think we had 6 or 7 different colonels.
This project caused them to switch colonels every time we met with them.
Yeah. So one of them got shipped out to Afghanistan. It was so bad. Congressional aides came out. The state port people came out. We had our port lobbyist there in D.C. He was out looking at that. Of course, this is Port President Ron Wilson. We took on and tried to do the grain lab, and that's a great facility. It's provides a lot of R&D opportunities, a gateway technology, quality control, processes, products. One of the things that we were looking into is we always wanted to be able to try to find a way to add value to our soft white wheat that we grow here. And one of the projects we did, we looked at the brewery, we looked at a malt project, but one of the things that we kind of discovered through this is soft white wheat has some potential as a malt, and a lot of malt today is done, it's processed like barley would be. And wheat doesn't quite process the same way as barley. And there could be some opportunities to work with getting wheat malt processed differently and capture some of that beer market. We worked on Philippi Park. This park, the Corps shut it down on us. We looked at it really hard. Now, the one reason, it's now being operated by a private nonprofit group. We couldn't quite come to terms with the Corps, but one of the reasons that I put this picture in here, because this is really an accomplishment for this Corps, is you got Sheriff Betancourt on the water. And you see his white-knuckled grip on the handrail there, and you see his clenched jaw. So this was quite an accomplishment right there. One of the big projects, Judge Shaffer, and I remember meeting down at the grain lab with all the rail people. And we got them together. We got them thinking about how can they expand. We were willing to provide them rail siding at Shuttler Station if that worked.
Right.
And they now have a solution. They came in and they greatly expanded their rail yard, put in the moving platform for scaling the waste containers. They finished up the siding, and now we have 50% more rail capacity at the rail yard, and that was on your watch. And of course, securing a Metro contract was huge, right? We can all breathe a little easier.
And the Seattle contract, which actually was,
As big.
Yeah, as big.
So, big employer. You guys invested heavily in the water and sewer in our communities. This is the ribbon cutting ceremony for the Arlington Mesa. And this provides us opportunity now that all of those industrial sites up there are hooked up to water and sewer. And it allows us to expand and grow. In fact, right after this meeting, I've got a client coming up to look at that, leasing out that place there. Housing. You tackled housing. That was a project that seems like every year or so we had something on housing. You got a program in place. But the conversation and the elevation of the conversation in the community, we had 50 house sales in Arlington, 88 house sales in Condon in the last 4 years. 14 new houses have been built. Now, prior to that, I think it was hard to see any sales, maybe a couple a year. So this is a tremendous resurgence of the housing in Gilliam County. Now, the biggest project, and I think this is your legacy, is getting fiber to the home in Gilliam County. Started with the Arlington project, and you just signed authorized the first checks for getting the Condon fiber in there. Tremendous project, and something that our community is going to cherish for years and years to come, having good internet. And of course, you guys all had to work together to find the money. I like that picture. I thought it was fun. Now, so how do you test how we're doing? So, I think Commissioner Weimer, you came in right about here.
Yeah.
And Judge Shaffer, you're right about here. I came into the county right here. This was at I went to a conference, a deal they had on the population study, the demographics that Portland State does. And I wanted to share with you this slide because I think this is very important. We as a community have been fighting this downward spiral of population loss for a lot of different reasons, but it's in all rural America, you're seeing this flight out of rural America. But all of these projects in combination, you've turned a corner. We're starting to grow as a community now. And you see our population is starting to grow. We're talking 1-2% a year. And so this is a tremendous change in the growth of the county. So my dad always said, you want to leave a place better than you found it. Gentlemen, I think you've done a real good job. So cheers to you. This was the brewery. So Judge Shaffer, Commissioner Weimer, thank you for all your years of service, your support to all the projects we've worked on over the years, and your efforts are making our community a great place to live, to work, and to recreate. So thank you very much.
Well, I'm going to, just add, this is a countywide effort. Our communities have really stepped forward. Arlington, Condon, Lonerock, for that matter. Arlington, developing the residential area out there. We've got the city of Condon working on the project out by the golf course. All of these things are going to be hugely important as we go into the future. I think one of the big reasons for a lot of this was the fact that we ended up with some great opportunities in solid waste coming to us in the wind energy and creating the funds for us to be able to do these projects. The growth of those industries, I think, is we're not even close to hitting the peak on it yet. So I think we have some superb opportunities as we move into the future to create more projects, more opportunities for communities, and more opportunities for Gilliam County. The train is rolling. It's been rolling. It's now time to accelerate and really keep it going. So, thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, good work.
Well
Good
said.
work. Good work.
We'll leave it there.
Yep. Okay. Thank you, Peter.
You betcha.
Okay, we have an opportunity here. We have a few minutes before we move into our next thing. How about minutes? Did you guys get through the minutes? Do you want to tackle that in a few minutes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I only had one thing.
Did you had one thing?
One thing.
Okay.
And I don't know if this is something, this is something that I would like to clarify in our minutes, but I don't know if it was said. It was one of those things. So it's just something maybe that we'll have to say,
Okay.
start saying. But when Waste Management came and gave their quarterly report, and this is something that's been confusing for a while, but they give like a fourth quarter report, but it's actually still in December. So when we talk about the volumes for the fourth quarter and all this stuff, I just kind of wish we could say as of December 5th, because these numbers later when people look back, it's not going to be the two fourth quarter numbers, it's just as of that date and time. Like I said,
I'm not sure what date it is.
I don't know, and I wonder if it changes, because sometimes like if the CAC.
It's just, it'll be reported as of December 5th. That's what he reported on December 5th.
It would be nice to have a
It's like
timeline that says. this
Peter's
is-
one slide, they released those numbers officially yesterday for the population estimate. So
Yeah, anyway.
maybe as of when he created the
Yeah.
Anyway, it almost might be, I guess I'm a bookkeeper and I'm just more into accuracy, but it's like, it almost seems like it'd be better to report on the third quarter if you're coming in the fourth quarter. At least
Right.
you'd have final numbers for the actual quarter. So that's just a little pet peeve I have, and it may not be.
Well, I just added in a little as of current date in the first paragraph. so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I saw, and that wasn't even a, yeah.
Well, that's more than I picked up on. I didn't even think about it. So, yeah,
But they look good.
they did. Great job, Mary.
Six.
I have one
Thanks, Andy.
issue.
I know, I spelled your name wrong, didn't I?
The spelling of the name.
Well, I don't really care about that, but the page 3 in the sale of property, we have the there was an approval of a certificate of sale for property at 221 Potter Street in the amount of $37.49. I think that was a $10,000 purchase.
That's correct, that was 3 payments of
That was,
Yeah,
three
the
numbers.
first of 3 payments.
It's an installment
Okay.
sale.
Good catch. And I made that motion and I kind of botched it, but,
Well, it's just because I have the contract sitting on my desk.
and you're like,
so-
that's
Yeah.
right.
All right.
Good
Okay.
catch.
Okay. Okay,
I move we approve the minutes as amended.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as amended.
December 5th.
The December 5th minutes as amended, yeah. Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. All right. Well, you know, I think, I'm going to go through the correspondence real quick here. Just So we received, well, it's basically a thank you coming from the Condon Scholarship Foundation. And in the long run, it provides additional money for scholarships around. It was, yeah, signed by them. And also, we had one that, maybe I'll put the second one off until we begin to open it.
Yeah.
So we have this one also, which is, let's see, thank you much for your generous donations. This is from Young Life. We're grateful to live in a community that supports our youth for positivity and success. And it's a thank you from Julie Erickson and many others that are on here. Tammy Berkland, Ron Berkland, Michael Takagi, Betsy and Steve Cole. Some of these I just can't read, I'm sorry, but, yeah, so. Anyway, you want to see?
Looks like they're over it.
This one,
Young Life.
I'm going to go ahead and go over this. We do have a little bit later, we're going to open an award for those vehicles. This is from the South Gilliam County Health Center, and we have the surplus vehicles. It says on behalf of the Gilliam County Health Districts, I'm expressing interest in the vehicle and give declared as surplus property. The staff at the clinic will use such a vehicle to visit patients in Summit Springs and in some cases visit patients in their home. If the opportunity to donate one of these vehicles presents itself, we would truly appreciate the consideration. This come in long after, again, it was dated December 12th. This was after we had made the decision to surplus these vehicles and put them out. I had quite a conversation with legal counsel Ruben over this. The issue that we have is we received bids, and I'm pretty sure that there was discussion of this long, I'm not going to say long, let's say prior to us making the decision as to whether this would be something they were interested in. And we never heard anything back until after the fact. My discussions with Ruben, maybe I don't want to speak for him, so maybe I'll just go ahead and leave it up to you.
Well, yeah, basically, by the time we'd received this letter, we'd already advertised the bid and accepted bids. And I looked into whether we could cancel that out. And the Uniform Commercial Code does deal with auctions and how they have to take place. And the only way we could cancel them is if we did not receive a bid that met our minimum reserve. Otherwise, we have to accept a bid that's been advertised and presented. So unfortunately, there just wasn't a way legally for us to get around it, as much as we did want to provide one of these vehicles to the health center.
And so I would just add that the 2005 Dodge did not receive a bid. And it's not the one that they were looking for, but it is there.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess based on,
it was something that we
Right.
just couldn't fulfill their request
Right.
based on what we had, so. Yeah.
And we haven't opened the bids yet either, so maybe they don't meet the minimum. We just know we have bids.
Right.
Okay?
Okay,
Okay.
yeah, good time. I guess we'll take a little bit of a, it really can't be a public document, so we kind of have to, we're just going to be using it. So, reference point. Okay, right now we'll move into the,
Real quick.
oh, Sandy did have something he was going
So the employees and elected officials here at the county wanted to give a little bit of a thank you and appreciation of all the service that Commissioner Weimer and the judge have done. So we had this engraved clock that we're presenting to Commissioner Weimer for his service and appreciation of his dedication to the people of Gilliam County.
There you go. Oh, yeah.
And then also for Judge Shaffer, another plaque with
Awesome.
dedication.
Cool. All right.
And appreciation from all the
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yes. It's been quite a run.
Yeah, that it has.
Been a lot.
That it has.
A lot of change in the last 12 years.
Yeah. You know, I spent a lot of time going around the state, and we deal with county commissioners from all over the state, legislators, things like that, and we're very, very unusual. Most all of them are struggling daily to figure out how to get additional money into the area. For us, it's how to effectively spend the money we have, and it's sometimes I think, you know, I'd rather have the battle of trying to get the money as opposed to dealing with how to effectively spend the funds. So that leads me into, you know, Frontier TelNet and funds. You know, I guess the first thing that I'm going to start off with is the packet that I handed out, specifically page 1 that is there. What page 1 is really shows the entire expenses that Frontier TelNet has. You know, right now we have Mike Smith, Rob Myers, we've been utilizing him. Gene Birch does our management, our financial end of things, management resources, Dan Devlin. That is, he handles a lot of our E-rate for healthcare. I've been looking into that. I'm not sure that that is necessary in the future. One of the things that we've talked about at Frontier TelNet is how can we go forward and pay these bills that we have with the type of revenue that we're going to be receiving. You know, first of all, we've got those personal expenses. The next thing we have are the leases. Regardless of whether we're in broadband or not, those leases are going to be there. They won't change. They're all part of the public safety communications infrastructure that we have. It's got to be there. The next thing that we have is the purchase of bandwidth. When I first put this together, I didn't realize the amount of capacity that the 911 center required and their abilities to actually communicate with the outside world. So with Cogent, it cost us $1,000 a month to have connectivity at the Pittig, the Carrier Hotel in Portland. Hurricane Electric is another one that we purchased from. Hurricane is the one that we do most of the purchasing. Cogent is really a backup. We've done a portion of it. We also, Frontier TelNet has to purchase capacity from Quantum. It allows us to have connectivity for 911 services in Jefferson County. At this time, we
That is, a huge portion of that is getting from the Erskine site back into SLAT, which allows for the 911 center to communicate with, and also it goes from SLAT up here all the way to Portland for us to be able to get data. That cost it's $1,600, which goes to Windwave for SLAT to Portland. Then the other balance is $3,500 that goes from SLAT to Erskine. Then there's roughly a small amount in there that's involved for getting connections with the Condon project. So this is really kind of future expenses. Today with Windwave it's $84,000. In the future we're thinking about $72,000. Electric bill at each one of these sites, regardless, they're always going to be there. They're part of public safety communications. They're not going to go away. There's absolutely no changes. We get down into maintenance and equipment. Day Wireless, the contract that we have with them. Day Wireless monitors our public safety communications infrastructure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all year long. They also, if there's any problems, they respond to it immediately. They have a 5-9 service contract with us. That means that we can't be out for any longer than 30 minutes for public safety communications. The next thing that we have is the Motorola Service Update Agreement. That is the second one that we have. What it does is it makes sure that the digital switch that we invested in has the proper, the newest hardware in there, newest software, all the equipment to make sure that it doesn't end up the same way that Umatilla Morrow did with theirs. They put in their digital switch about the same time that we did. They're having to replace theirs. It's about a $4.5 million replacement cost that they're looking at, simply because they didn't utilize the service update agreement. We have equipment upgrades and replacement. On occasions, we'll have a switch that goes out. So these are the costs that we have today. This is what we're looking at probably into the future. There's not a whole lot of changes. We feel that they're going to stay there the entire time. Supplies that we're looking at, yeah, they go down simply because we probably won't be doing billing for internet services. City county insurance remains the same. Legal services, but it's basically, we're talking $1,000 a month, roughly $12,000 a year that is pretty much normal for any ORS 190 that you would have. Legal telecommunications, as we begin looking to get out of maybe some contracts, we're definitely going to have that type of help with us the entire time. The point is, what I'm looking at here, and I want to get back to it, is that right now we have broadband that we're selling, or shall I say internet, really is the term that should be used. And then that's in the first two columns. There's a yearly, and then there's a monthly. In the next two columns, there's a yearly, and then there's a monthly, not including internet. So those costs, as you can see, virtually stay the same. That copy I cannot see very well, so I'm going to look at mine. The requirements that we have right now are $887,628. With the elimination of the personnel end of things, it comes down to $696,204. I also added a couple of site locations that we have. This happens to be over at, this is at Gordon Ridge. I happen to be there during the fire season. If you take a look, Frontier TelNet owns this portion of the facility over here on the left side. I've written on there where it is. There's a tower that is setting there, and there's also a, which was an original power pole. There's still an antenna setting on top of it that gets used for VHF. Switching it all out was a little difficult, I understand. The next picture is, you guys have black and white, so is the Condon Air Base site. It's our tower out there, it's got our building setting off to the side. The things you can't see is the generator that is setting there and the propane tank. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What I did on the same tower, I showed you on the next picture. It shows exactly what's on the tower and what it's being used for. On the very top, you've got the Gilliam County roads and what is known as 591. It's a VHF radio system. So as the South Gilliam County Rural Fire Protection District also uses VHF, we have occasionally other entities that come in that utilize, there are 3 types of radios: UHF, VHF, and 800 megahertz radios. When companies come in, begin use our firefighters, ambulance, whatever, that aren't really from the area here, when they come in, they can utilize any one of their radios. It hits the digital switch. The digital switch turns it into a binary, well, I'm going to use data, 0s and 1s, and sends the signal back to the 911 center. On here, we have Condon Roads VHF. We have our 700 antennas. We've got a huge antenna that gets a internet or data signals from SLAT up here. It also receives, then we have, as you go down, there's 700 radio tower or antenna on there. You can see, you're barely probably able to see them. There were 3 small antennas on there that are for RTG, the wireless system that supplies internet to rural people. You also have a Kent microwave. It sends a signal back and forth between Gilliam and Sherman County. You've got the antenna there that sends a signal back and forth to the ESD and 911. You've got a secondary SLAT, simply because there's so much information that goes from Erskine to SLAT, the digital switch to SLAT, and then this is what the fiber is going to do, is replace one of those, maybe, well, at least one of those antennas. You got the South Gilliam County Fire District. They operate on 920, which is VHF, so they may start off using 591 VHF radios. Then once they get out on the fire and begin communicating back and forth with each other, they'll use the 920. Then we have Rancheria, that microwave sends everything back over towards Wheeler County, and from Rancheria it goes out to different wherever it needs to go. So if we bring this one up right here, this one is, I got in trouble the last time for releasing this. I'll have to get this back. My understanding is this has to be confidential for Homeland Security, Oregon Emergency Management, so on and so forth. So if you look up in the right, and there's a red dot up there in the right-hand corner, that's SLAT. That's where virtually almost everything originates. Getting communication back to the 911 center, it starts at SLAT, goes to Air Base. As I said before, there are 2 cones at Air Base. One of those cones will be replaced. The second one is going to be utilized as a redundant. Fiber will take the place of that. From there, most everything goes from Air Base back into Condon and the 911 center, the ESD building, to begin sending either internet out to whomever is going to be using internet, or radio signals back out to the others. We have this many sites, and to be perfectly honest with you, this was done in 2005. There are probably about 14 additional was the number that was given to me. I don't know for sure get these signals out. In doing that, I want you to turn to the next, not page where it says page 3, but I want you to drop down to what would be this one. It says page 2 on the bottom. And it says at the top, Frontier Network serving the North Central ESD Consortium members.
when we send internet out to the schools, and virtually internet to almost everybody, whether it's at your house, Mike, or Catherine's house, or wherever, this is pretty much the way the system operates. It starts at SLAT. Well, it actually starts at Pittick, goes to SLAT. From there, information will be sent by fiber over to the Erskine site to see if information needs to get out from there, that's where it'll go out. Otherwise, it comes to Airbase, back into Condon, back out to Airbase to feed, well, we'll just do the Condon schools. It comes from SLAT to Airbase into Condon, and then it is radioed out from the ESD building to each one of the schools. I know it says Erskine. It does go into Erskine and take a fiber line back, but it doesn't always have to do that. Right now, most of the information that goes to the Condon schools comes into SLAT, fiber, and then gets microwave to Airbase. Okay, to get to Fossil, it's a microwave link that goes from SLAT to Condon to Airbase to Condon, back to Airbase, and then it goes over to Rancheria, and then it's delivered to the Fossil school. Rancheria, the spray, it's the same thing. It goes from SLAT, Airbase, Condon, back to Airbase, then it goes to Rancheria, Kaler Basin, spray school. Same thing going to Mitchell, it goes to Condon, Airbase, Rancheria, Ashwood, Keys Mountain to get to Mitchell. The point I'm trying to make with this is there's about 6 of these sites out here that are used for sending information to the schools. The rest of it, and those 6 sites are also used for public safety communications infrastructure. The rest of it is used for public safety. So if you go back onto the cost page that we have, all of those sites are doing both things. The 6 sites that we have, plus all of these others that were set up to utilize for public safety communications, is there and will remain there and is not going to change. Frontier TelNet has been, if you go back to page 3 now, I know I'm bouncing you guys around. This is a revenue, this is our resources page. It should say page 3 at the top. The counties have been putting in about, $333,000. The 911 center puts in $100,000. It comes to $433,000. If you go back to, again, on page 1, it shows that our expenses have been about $887,000 a year. Copies I have it. The rest of it has been revenue that's come in from internet sales. Ashland Community Center, Gobi, Oregon Health Network, Grand ESD, North Central ESD, RTG, Windwave, Lightspeed Network, Wright Chevrolet, US Cellular, Bank of Eastern Oregon, Evergreen Grass Valley and Hemp, Blue Mountain Cable, still haven't got the revenues on it, Grass Valley Market. All of those are revenue sources. We've been able to generate about, $482,000 worth of revenue in a year's time. Consequently, that includes the $236,000 that we get from E-rate funds. We're having a difficult time getting the E-rate funds. We haven't been paid for E-rate for a few years now. In February, March of this year, the Frontier TelNet board decided that we needed to take a different approach in getting these funds coming to us.
We had been utilizing a contracted employee to do the applying for them. We ended up hiring a private firm that is experienced in doing just that, applying for E-rate funds, a company called Intisera. We had them basically put our entire package together, make sure that everything was A-okay. We sent it off to USAC, Universal Services Administrative Company, which is a company that the FCC contracts with to do E-rate. We got put under review. There was a lot of questions that were sent in that caused some issues for us. We're having difficulties. These questions were things like that the funds were being used to offset public safety communications work, that we operated as a partner with ESD was another, that we utilized an employee that was hired by both entities, and that we weren't offering the cheapest possible price for internet services to the schools. Consequently, we haven't been denied yet to receive the funds, but it's been a real struggle. We received this information, I guess it was back in September. Shortly after that, we hired an attorney to respond to USAC and seeing if there was a way that we could get this mitigated, worked out. At this time, we again have not been denied, but we haven't heard anything back from USAC. The longer this goes, the more difficult it is to get this worked out. The problem now is that for 2 years we've been looking at going without this $236,000. Consequently, we are in a position to where we can't pay our bills. Last Friday, I sat down with Mike Smith, Gene Birch, and myself. Went through virtually every, turning over every rock that we possibly could, changing the structure of our financial group, the way we, I guess, lay out our expenses. We sent everything off to Tom McCoy and said, okay, Tom, what do you think? Where are some solutions here? I had quite a conversation Sunday with Tom about a lot of this. The conclusion was that Frontier TelNet was going to have to get roughly $400,000 for us to be able to get through the rest of the year unless we're able to get the E-rate funds. Now, I'm going to go back to how those E-rate funds were dispersed to us in February of 2017. The ESD, North Central ESD, put out an RFP for internet services to the consortium schools that they had. Frontier TelNet applied to it. We won the bid. Which began the 17-18 fiscal, was to begin in the 17-18 fiscal year, which was July 1 of 2017. We haven't been paid. We provided services to the schools. The ESD has paid us their 17% share of it. We're waiting on the 83% share to come from USAC. We've been waiting a year and a half. And we don't know when those funds are going to come, but we have bills, as I showed you on the very first page, that have to be paid. The majority of them are due to public safety. There's some that do both. When we start talking about the sites like the Condon, we've got 11 of those that set in 7 different counties, including Washington, Clickitat County, over at Roosevelt. It has a tower, building, generator, propane tank,
setting at each one of those 11 different locations like that. And keeping those up and going is pretty much mandatory for 911 services, emergency management communication. The ask that is going in front of Sherman County today, and I'm going to ask for also, is for $100,000 to allow Frontier TelNet to pay its bills. It's a loan that we're hoping to be able to get the E-rate funds back. I have to say this, I don't think there's any guarantee whatsoever that we will get those funds. We're asking for $100,000 now, $100,000 put aside for between, to get us to the, if it needed to be available sometime between now and the end of the fiscal year, to allow us to go ahead and pay our bills. The one thing that's a little bit different between what I had, what was put into this spreadsheet and what is on this one, is that we're going to continue having personal services, simply because of, well, lots of discussion went on around that and what this person would be doing going into the future. I think it's up to the next Frontier TelNet board to be making a decision on what the scope of work this individual will have, whether it's Mike or Rob or whomever. It's, I believe, going to have somebody who has knowledge of what has been going on. I really feel that the future of, and this is just my opinion, it's going to be difficult for Frontier TelNet to stay in the broadband business. It's going to be very, very competitive. The cost of even beginning to try and cover the costs of each one of these, the abilities to cover the cost of each one of these site locations is going to become more and more difficult utilizing the revenue that comes off of internet sales. Well, I'm open to any questions. I've been racking my brain with this since, I guess the middle of November, seeing what we could come up with. I worked with congressional people, legislative people, looking for some sort of alternatives.
So you're saying, somewhere you said you're, by the end of the year, will be 100,000 short?
Yeah, that's Tom's analysis, felt that we'd be about 400,000 short
By the end of June?
by the end of June. And I think that's pretty accurate. With the 436,000, or, well, it's 470, that one of mine, not yours. I figured we'd show a profit if we received the funds from USAC. I figured we'd show a profit of about $28,000 for the year. Tom calculated it out to be a little bit higher than that. Where do you have it at?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had it, well, if you take, on his spreadsheet, it has cash surplus at the end of June, 169,000, let's say 170, and you subtract out our, what would be our unrestricted funds that we have, 140,000. He'd come up with $29,000. A little bit more than that, 29,500 to be honest. But
So right now, it looks like the USAC that is owed is it 236,498?
it's 236,496.
Can't read this very well.
Yeah.
But
For-
400,000 is needed?
Well, we didn't get paid for 17-18. Some of the stuff you're looking at here on that spreadsheet is just 18-19 and going forward. So what I did on the page that you're looking at, I just took the first 6 months that we had in operation for Frontier TelNet, all the bills, and then, you know, I guess you might say take an average of those and add them into the rest of the fiscal year. So like the electric bill, that really varies. During the summer, it gets hit really, really hard because of the HVAC systems that are in there are trying to keep all the components cool. So the electric bill really goes up at that time. It actually goes down a little bit in the winter time, but then we're utilizing the HVAC system for heating, but not much.
What's this number down here? So it says profit or loss without E-rate. Is that
Okay.
a 200 and, I mean, what's that bottom number right there?
262,517.
This one right here, the third line down?
Oh, no, okay, yeah, that's 96,689.
It looks like page 3.
It's like 200 and something,
200 and-
208.
Oh, 208, 277, I wasn't sure where you were pointing.
Okay, 208, 277.
That page looks different than ours.
No, it's the
It's
same.
got a yellow down below the blue.
Yeah, well, it has on it what it would be like if we did not have the employee costs.
Oh, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I need
It's
to look
really-
at that. I was looking at one I printed out off because it was a little bit bigger.
So what we have here is just income and expense
Yeah,
sort of laid out for us.
Right.
And I guess the assumption is we have no reserves.
we've used up all the
I
resources.
mean, because I don't see the whole income, the whole financial picture here.
Right. That's where, that's where Tom and I had the conversation about, okay, what do we need to do to be able to get the entire picture? So if you go back over here to this particular page, you'll see that what we have and it's right down here in the bottom corner. Our reserves right now are $141,948. Yeah. And that would be the $400,000. Now, if you go over to the left side, $471,000 is the loss for the year. The cash on hand that we have is $168,570. That includes, that's the reserves that we have and what we have in the checking account right now. If you include the 2 E-rate payments between now and the end of the year, then, our expenses are $471,000. Our E-rate income, along with our other income for 303 is what we're short, 303,000. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it allows us to put, at the end of the year, if we get the E-rate, would be 169,760 would be our cash on hand at the end of the year.
Okay, so, I mean, I'm having a hard time,
Yeah, well,
this and this don't seem to match, the numbers
well,
don't match.
this was just put together really to say, okay, here's our expenses.
Yeah.
Here's what we've been making off of internet. Here's what we have to spend. Here's what we've been making. If we don't get that anymore, we still have to spend these funds. This here was put together to justify why the amount of $400,000.
Yeah, but, I mean, I'm seeing about 210,000 difference on this page 1 and 3. Yeah, versus the 471,000 over here.
Right.
Yeah, which is quite a bit of difference.
Subtract out $236,000.
Well,
You're only showing.
I wasn't putting the E-rate in this difference. I had the E-rate taken out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was just using the other revenues and only come up with 200,000. So,
Yeah,
Well,
I see
I'm
what
not
you're
sure
saying.
what-
I see what you're saying, because this sheet shows a $208,000 deficit, this sheet shows a $303,000 deficit. Right? That's what you're saying?
Well, the 303 is when you take out the cash, use the cash reserves, but it's the 471.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the 471.
This compared to this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
honestly, I didn't really look at this page before because it was so small, I
It
gave
is
up on it.
difficult to see, and we tried, well, Sandy did all we could to try and get it larger, and,
And this is, so this is something that Tom McCoy
well, what we, yeah.
put together.
We put it together, then Tom went over it, made some adjustments and some changes in it. Basically, where Tom really had the huge input was down there in the operating profit, the stuff down here in the bottom corner, right here.
Uh-huh.
That's, yeah. That was the stuff that he inputted into it. Issue is, we have all these expenses, we didn't get the E-rate funds, $470,000 worth of E-rate funds. We've tried to continue offering services to, right up, fulfilling our portion of the contract for the schools. We have, made sure that the public safety communications infrastructure is up and operating the entire time. But when your revenue is $20,000 a month or $30,000 a month, and your expenses are $70,000 a month, it doesn't take very long. And you've been doing this for, a length of time,
Yeah.
doesn't take very long to gobble up the reserves.
Starting out in the hole here in December, big.
Yeah.
That must have been, we must have been in the hole for quite a while.
Well, we have been utilizing the reserves for quite a while, just simply because we kept thinking, okay,
Yeah.
here it comes. We're gonna get the E-rate funds now. They'll be coming, they're gonna be, showing up, and no problem then. This is cut really tight, to be honest, for, I have to say, if it's a business,
So if we're doing a loan, we're gonna need a little paperwork for that too. And what kind of a loan are we doing, and what's and Wheeler County's not, I take it?
no.
You said just Sherman and Gilliam.
Just Sherman and Gilliam.
And,
Wheeler County doesn't have it. Without, I don't, that leads us into a whole nother conversation that leads us into what's going on into the future, but right now, it's, just getting us to the end of this fiscal year.
Yeah,
A whole new business plan is gonna have to be developed for Frontier TelNet. Whole new method of operating is gonna have to be delivered to the counties. 911.
I mean, essentially, it's probably gonna be a grant in the long term, not a loan.
For sure.
Good chances are that
From this point forward.
we're not gonna be able to, Frontier TelNet's not gonna be able to pay this back. Let's just assume that.
Yeah.
So, it really comes down to putting 100,000 more into our budget spending.
No, I'd probably say it would be closer to $150,000 in our budget.
Okay? Yeah.
Well, that's, maybe not that much. You're putting in 110 now. That's what's going into it from the counties now.
Well, oh yeah, that's the digital switch
Sure.
maintenance.
Sure.
We've been, we've got, that's a given.
We're just talking about additional.
This is the additional we're talking about.
Yeah, again, I know what you're saying. I'm telling you that $10,000 that we would have had the digital switch paid off, you can count on paying that. The additional is probably gonna be another $100,000 coming from each one of the counties.
How much is necessary just to get through the end of December?
Oh, let's see, for us to be able to, I think the calculation was, it was gonna be about $86,000 to be able to pay December's bills.
So with your contracted people, what is it that they're going to be doing? I mean, we're paying, it says you're paying $21,000 for accounting purposes. Is that what that position is?
Yeah. Making sure, that, the checks come in, everything gets documented, bills get sent out, invoices to schools, or to the ESD, to,
Yeah. So that's, what, half-time job?
yeah. $1,800 a month.
But some of these have been suspended, right? Or have they?
What do you mean suspended?
Are these people still getting paid this
We
month?
had to notify
Or did you not
them,
say
yeah, we
that?
had to do, notify them 30 days in advance, let them know that the contract was ended. We did that on November 28th, letting them know that,
As of the end of the year?
as of the end of the year, we were not in a position to be able to pay.
Okay. And that was all 3 of these positions?
That was Mike Smith, Rob Myers, and Dan Devlin.
But then, but in this budget, it doesn't show Mike Smith. It's still showing
Yeah.
his expense.
It does. Tom felt that there was just no way that it could continue without getting, it was going to be necessary to have somebody.
Yeah.
That was part of the 3.5-hour conversation with Tom.
Judge Shaffer,
Yep.
while there's this silence, would you entertain a quick question that I could ask in legal counsel?
Sure. Yeah.
For the record, Les Ruart, I had really tried hard not to ask a question today. I'm here mostly to listen, but I would like to point out, as I'm observing the discussion so far, and the question to Ruben would be that I would ask whether he doesn't think that on behalf of the court, he needs to put or place on record some sort of justification, whichever direction the court decides to go, whether to consider a loan or whether it be a grant. To me, you're looking at the end of the year, last minute appropriation by this body, and essentially is a quote-unquote emergency appropriation. It would seem to me that you're going to have some sort of explanation in writing or follow some sort of a process for allocating that amount, whichever way you go, to protect yourselves, because it's not going to be me, but somebody out there could easily challenge an allocation of this amount and for these purposes if you don't have something that's on the record that tends to protect yourselves. And I'm not trying to impede or object to the emergency funding. I think you guys are quite aware of my concern over it. It's not so much the substance of why it's being necessary, but how we've gotten here to that point and how we're going to proceed. But again, I would really encourage you guys to think carefully about how you achieve this today. And I would hope that Commissioner McCoy and that the Sherman County Court somehow courtesy of Jeff Wallace is looking at the same thing. It might be worth taking a break to check with them to see where they are today on their effort. But that, again, that's my suggestion.
Well, I mean, I think that if it's a loan, there will be some sort of loan documentation, but at this point, without the court knowing which direction they're gonna go, I don't see that anything more than the record that we're keeping here of these proceedings is a problem. I mean, it's, we have a record of these proceedings right now on the tape, and when the court makes a decision, the appropriate paperwork will be put together and go from there.
Good. Okay, if I may, Judge, could I ask one more question?
Sure.
In terms of procedure, and it gets to what Mike was asking about, as a loan, that's all that's on the table so far is that word loan. There's nothing that I've been able to see, there's no outline of what type of loan, what type of interest might be involved, what type of assurances, all that kind of stuff that goes. Most importantly, what pot the dollars are going to be loaned from, and how you can
And
take those
that's-
dollars out of that pot. That's what I'm asking. Shouldn't that be?
Well, we can't write anything up until we figure out what that's gonna be. I
Right.
can't sit here and
Right.
simultaneously on an IBM Selectric just start typing out a document. So what we need to do is figure out from the court perspective what it's gonna look like before we put pencil to paper.
Well, I would leave just one last comment. As an instant person, I really feel uncomfortable not having an opportunity to be able to voice to the court what I, as one individual, would want to say, because there's nothing that we're looking at here. And I think it's just even more important if I were on that side of the table, that you'd have something you'd be looking at, whether it be a grant or a loan, or there might be a couple of other options out there.
Well, it seems like right now, we're just in a discussion stage. This is kind of a discovery for the court.
It is,
Goes,
yeah.
because this is the first time that we've been presented any kind of numbers that say, hey, looks like we're gonna need some help, kind of thing. And so I
And
think,
Judge, I'm assuming that we're in a time crunch here, that it has to be a decision today?
Well, I mean, yeah, it would be greatly appreciated. What I can say is that, and I'm gonna say, that this was an email from Tom McCoy that came out, was it Monday? It says, please put operating loan to Frontier TelNet as an action item on our agenda for a Wednesday court meeting and include the attached spreadsheet in the packet. Frontier TelNet currently lacks the funds needed to pay its bills because the E-rate dollars it's owed for providing internet to the area schools have been delayed. If Sherman County agrees to the loan of $100,000 now and $100,000 later in the year if needed, and Gilliam County does the same, FTN should be able to pay its bills until it receives its E-rate funding. Again, for me, I didn't really get started in this until the middle of November, and I needed to get a presentation off to the Frontier TelNet board, of which I did that on November 28th. Then Frontier TelNet has a meeting this coming Friday also. I wanted to make sure that I got this here. The one thing that I think you're missing, Les, is we are required to supply this. It is mandatory that the counties supply the infrastructure for 911 emergency services communication. We have been for a lot of years, 16 years, not having to worry about supplying funding for this. We're in a position to where we would not have had to supply the funding for it had we got the money from E-rate. Now we're in a position to where we're still waiting for those funds. We're hoping that the check will be in the mail tomorrow, kind of thing.
I'm aware of that, and I'm also aware of, Tom sent me a copy of the email that he read, but I would just really encourage you, once you have decided which route you're gonna go, there's gotta be that paperwork that comes out of this meeting as quickly as it can to justify it, because to me, it's an emergency appropriation that's being made completely outside of the county's normal budgetary process. And it's quite an expenditure, whatever it may be.
$200,000 is huge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So right now, there's still the reserves. How long do those reserves go to give the court a chance to put this thing together?
No, the reserves are gone.
Cash on hand,
Cash on hand,
12,
yeah, that
168,000.
is, it's $146,000.
A year, a month?
No, what we have cash on hand right now is
68.
68,000.
168,000. How many,
168,000.
just how many months is that gonna last?
It's not gonna get through the month of December.
Okay,
I thought
yeah, we're
80
talking
so-
about November 30th. This one-
We have, this month, we have
November
$102,000 that goes out of the digital switch payment, the last payment that we make, $102,000.
30th. And the counties have already put the money in.
The
for
county's
that.
already put the money in for that.
Right.
And it got used in operating costs between, July 1st to this point.
You say that payment's how much?
$102,000.
Okay.
Now, I asked a little bit earlier, how much do we need to get through December, and I wrote down 86,000.
Well, because that's where we're short to be able to get the payment. That sets us in a position. $86,000 is what we're short today to be able to pay all our bills
As of the end of December.
as of the end of December, yeah.
And we have $168,000 in the bank.
Got $272,000 of expenses for December, and we have 168. Is that what we're saying?
We have $168,000. I can get Judge Birch on the phone.
Well-
She was the one who told me that we were $86,000 short of being able to pay this month's bills.
Okay.
Now, if Sherman County gives us the money, then we've got an additional $15,000 that if both Sherman and Gilliam, then we have an additional $115,000.
I guess the part that I'm confused about is, and just, maybe I'm just misunderstanding, is cash on hand is $168,000.
Right.
And we need $86,000 to get through the end of the month. So why do we need any right now?
Yeah, additional funds.
On top of the reserves, 86,000.
Thank you.
Well, this month is a huge month.
Yeah.
It's kind of an emergency that was there before today.
It was, to be honest with you, yeah, it was, I was made aware of it, I really jumped into it, I guess, probably the middle part of November, and trying to determine, okay, what is it actually? Where are we at? What are we gonna be doing? Yeah, Mike, we did not receive the $236,000 for 17-18. We haven't received it, half of it going up to this point now. And it's frustrating, it really is. It's very frustrating. These are, if you go down through the resources that we have here, the funds that are coming, that we have coming in, it's going to be difficult going into the future. The E-rate situation, right now with Condon, we're going to have a whole new, competitive bidding process that goes on there.
So E-rate is separate from 911. We, as the counties, are responsible for 911. But it sounds like E-rate dollars are what's going to cover this.
Yeah, we are responsible for 911. So the 911 center, the 911 center operates off of phone taxes, right? So 75 cents and, the usage of the phone every month goes into Gilliam County, Sherman County, Wheeler County, Jefferson County,
and the amount of money that you receive back and able to use it for public safety communications is determined by population and a few other things that are in the formula. We get a base rate of $230,000 every year, each one of our counties. Jefferson County gets a base rate also. So that gives us about $1.1 million to be able to operate every year in the 911 center. Most counties, and I'm going to give you, I've given you this before, Wasco County puts about $900,000 additional dollars into operating this. They cannot use any of these phone tax dollars for it at all. So it's an additional roughly $900,000 to do this and operate their 911 center. Hood River County has a 911 tax. It's a taxing district. Umatilla Morrow over there has a $1.4 million taxing district.
Yeah.
For 16 years, we haven't had to worry about any of this. Today, with the competitive world that's going to be out there, those funds that we've been operating on, internet sales, and keeping this all together.
So the E-rate dollars were taking care of this,
Illegally.
maybe.
Not necessarily.
Not
I mean,
necessarily.
It was a
It's-
situation where we have the infrastructure for the 911, we provided the schools with the service. It wasn't that the E-rate money was.
Yeah, I said that wrong.
Yeah, was subsidizing in any way the 911. We have the 911 system. We used it to provide the service to the schools. The federal government said they'd pay us for it, and they did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Now that, we're talking E-rate or 911?
I'm talking E-rate.
I'm a little confused on that, this.
We have to have the system for 911.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It all has to
So
be
the
just-
county should be paying for it.
And through the system, we provided E-rate to the schools. And they were supposed to pay us for what we were providing to the schools, and they did. But in no way was the E-rate a mechanism or a design to subsidize the 911. It was an additional revenue stream that we had that
That we
has
used.
gone away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it looks to me more like it's a reality of, rather than a loan, it just has to be money
It
that
is.
the county budgeting to go into
Into the future.
the 911 program.
Yeah. Reality, I guess, as we go into the coming year, again, Frontier TelNet has to take a really hard look at where we are. One of the things I've been working with and the attorney is determining each one of these sites, what is the actual cost for data to fly through this particular location. Determining what the cost is, for instance, Rancheria, which receives an awful lot of 911 communications data that goes through it, an awful lot of internet data that goes through it. How do we break out these costs? It's never been done before,
And
it's a lot more difficult than people think it is.
I understand that. I've been around projects where you try to allocate dollars and.
Yeah,
You can't do it sometimes and because the whole, I mean, each one individually doesn't make sense until you have the whole.
yeah.
So, I mean, it takes, yeah, you can allocate certain things
We're about
to an
20
individual
minutes after
site.
12, it's a difficult situation. Again, to me, we get the financial statements every month from Frontier TelNet, and you look at the revenues coming in, and they're, $20,000, and the expenses going out are
Yeah.
$70,000 or, $60,000. You know that things aren't going right, but also you try and think, okay, what are the possibilities here? and you keep thinking, you know, you call USAC, where are we at with this? What's the status? And, you know, you're still under review, you're still under review.
Yeah.
You know, it's to the point now to where, you know, a lot of information was sent to USAC that was not very becoming, Frontier TelNet, almost creating a, you know, for lack of a better way of saying it, impossible way of being able to answer these questions that have come in. I think we've, you know, done a really good job of responding to it. The attorney's done a fantastic job, but it still boils down to the fact that, you know, we have to keep public safety up. We committed to supplying service to the schools. Frontier TelNet is you know, hoping to continue it. But again, you'd asked me back in August, I would have said the USAC funds are on their way. If you'd asked me in September, I'd have said the USAC funds are on the way. If you asked me in November, December, today, the USAC funds are on the way. We did it right.
So if you don't get the E-rate dollars, then you cut out the school program.
Well,
I mean, there's a problem with, I mean.
so do we, are you saying, and you know, this was mentioned, just flip the switch on the schools?
I mean, that's what the E-rate dollars are supposed to be.
Yeah, flip the switch on the schools.
Then we turn around, the county turns around and subsidizes the school support, get their broadband.
Right. Or, you know, the other thing is one of the things that I argued is, why is Frontier TelNet coming to you guys? Why aren't we going to Frontier TelNet, going to the 911 center and saying, look, you know, we hit the switch on you guys, and you guys go get the money from the counties.
Yeah.
Or the schools go to the money to get from the counties. You know, but this is the discussion we've had on many different occasions.
Well,
it's Gilliam County that is the member of the ORS 190.
If the Frontier TelNet
It says we're going to supply it.
should be a more efficient way to do this than each individual county in terms of our 911 system.
I didn't quite understand.
Well, we either contract with some other entity for our 911,
Mhm.
but I'm saying the 3-county Frontier TelNet entity should be more efficient than us trying to go our separate ways.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you know, my point is this worked very well for 16 years.
Yeah, but it obviously hasn't been working good here lately. If
Well,
it's got several years. It's not just this year. It's how many years back? What are we talking, 3 years total?
Probably 3.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
this problem's been hanging here way too long to be putting it into the budget.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, that's, the county does a supplemental budget, you know, to come up with money to cover what it takes to keep our 911 system going.
Yeah, I don't, you know, I've got ideas, you know, on how we can fix going forward, you know, but it's not favorable to, I mean, I can tell you right now, one of the things that those phone tax, we get $254,000 that comes in over and above the 230 from Jefferson County. You know, I think all 254,000, it goes to the 911 center. All 254 should go back to paying this infrastructure. But that's a whole nother argument with 911. The thing I'm trying to point out is that all of these things cost money. Keep it up and going. Whether it does internet and does E-rate, does any of that, it's an ongoing expense. And yeah, today, if we get the E-rate, it pays the loan back. If we don't get it, the loan doesn't get paid back. And what's gonna happen, the 1st of July anyhow, is the counties are probably gonna have to begin picking this up. Give any examples, Sherman County, which was part of the consortium, we were supplying internet service to them. It went, they chose to go a different direction. We were getting.
You mean Sherman County Schools?
Sherman County Schools. We were getting roughly $80,000 a year from their services that we were providing. ESD was paying 17% of it, and the balance was coming from USAC. Today, it's being provided by somebody else. It's $19,000. Sherman schools are paying 17%, Sherman School District, and USAC is paying the balance of that, 83% of that $19,000. The point I'm trying to make is it went from $80,000 in value down to $19,000 in value. Simple reason, competition was in the area. We're going to be looking at that in Wheeler County because they're finishing their wireless project over there. They plan on, they've got an RFP out right now that's been responded to by private entities to utilize the service to supply broadband to the residents. Those people I've had conversations with them. Every one of them plan on bidding on the hearing.
Yeah.
Condon, or Gilliam County, we're in the same boat. We have entities who are planning on applying for it. The chances of it being at where it's at, $236,000, are pretty slim. I see it being down probably, I think you'll see basically the same cut that we're looking at, that we looked at Sherman County, a quarter of it.
Yeah.
And that's still, again, it's gonna cost $600,000 or $700,000 a year to operate the system for public safety.
Yeah. Looks like the counties are gonna have to dig in and pay it then.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't
get the
have,
legislature involved and let them know what's going on, whether there's much chance of getting some change there.
well, here's really that, we were talking about the $230,000 that comes from each one of the counties. So we get 4 counties that are paying that amount each to operate our 911 center. There's huge legislation that's going on right now, an organization called APCO, Association of Public Safety, or Public Safety Communications, whatever organization, APCO. And what they're pushing for is that, there's a base rate for each PSAP, each public safety access point. So instead of us getting it instead of each county getting a base level, it would be one PSAP getting that base level. Now, that would see the 4 counties who are all with numbers that say base level. That would mean instead of us getting $1.1 million the way we're getting it, their argument is they should only get $230,000.
Right.
The counties make up the rest. So that's a big battle that's been going on.
The legislature needs to understand in this area, it costs us a lot more to do our public safety because
For
of
sure,
distance, terrain, and
for sure.
so on.
The argument against it is if you're in Washington County, you have so many calls that come in. You
Oh,
need
yeah.
that many more people that are involved with it. Those people take very few calls out there. They don't need the personnel, they don't need the equipment. It's
So anyway, that's why I
Okay.
come back to, the county's gonna have to budget for it.
Mhm. So, it's introduced to you, you're aware of it, the requests that come from my colleagues on the Frontier TelNet board, I've delivered to you. We're asking for $100,000 right away. We're asking for it to be a loan. We're asking for, $100,000 to be set aside in the future. If, we're not gonna do it, that's fine. I'll relay the information back to them, let them know. Again, to me, it's one of those that I did what I was asked to do by
Well, you've been studying a lot longer than the two of us.
Oh, I have, yeah, I've been trying to figure out a way that, why is this a problem that USAC has? I gotta be perfectly honest with you. I talk to the congressional people and say, what is wrong with this? Why is it such a problem that we pay $430,000, this comes from the county, $430,000 that goes into this operation.
Yeah.
The internet people pay 200 and some odd thousand. It's $230,000 to supply to the schools out here in this remote area. Why is it a problem that we get those funds, put them in one location, pay the bills? It's a problem.
Good time for lunch break.
It is. I'm gonna have to leave after this. I have a daughter who's flying in from San Diego, and I'm picking her up at the airport, so the rest of the afternoon is gonna be all yours.
What time do you have to go?
My wife just left 3 minutes ago from Condon. Picked me up in the day. So, I'll go have lunch.
Lunch.
Yeah.
Lunch is here.
It's here?
Yeah.
They
Oh, did
delivered
it come here?
No, I went and got it.
Oh, good for you. Let's
I didn't
enjoy
know
it
you did
here.
that.
You want to work through lunch? No.
What's this now?
Lunch is here.
Our lunch is here. Oh.
I gotta have these back.
Oh, I wrote all over mine.
Sorry. I got in big trouble the last time, so.
We broke the lunch.
Yeah, break for lunch.
We're gonna have,
Get ourselves back into activity and out of recess. Again, getting ready to head out the door to pick up grandkids. I think the next order of business that we need to cover is to open and award the surplus vehicle bids. We have three. I'll let you go ahead and open it. Okay. Sealed bid number 1 for VIN number 3072. This bid came in from Guy Watley, and he's submitting a bid in the amount of $4,600. And this is bid number 2 is for vehicle 8072, VIN number, last 4 digits. And this bid is for $4,501 from Cheryl Baker. Okay, those are both for VIN number ending, last 4 digits being 8072. This one bid is for VIN number ending in last 4 digits being 1323. And it is from Guy Watley also, and he bids $4,150. So, be that, so, my wife says I am here. So we have,
so we got 2 bids for the one vehicle.
right, and 1 bid for the other vehicle.
Yeah. And,
They-
and we're meeting all the minimums of what we
The
did.
the minimum was 4,000, right?
4,000, okay, all right.
So we just need a motion to accept those bids and complete the sale,
Okay, we accept all the bids and then,
except the winning bids from
Yeah,
Guy Watley.
yeah.
Two.
okay.
Two.
I move we accept the bid from Guy Watley for the first vehicle for $4,600. And
On the second vehicle for $4,100.
the second one from Guy Watley for $4,150.
A second.
Okay. So it's been moved and seconded to approve the bids from Guy Watley for VIN number ending in the last four digits of 8072 in the amount of $4,600. And then also from Guy Watley and the VIN number ending in 1323 in the amount of $4,150. Okay, any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, good. Just a bit of information here. He actually sent an email and CC'd me to Tom McCoy, set it off to Les Rourke, CC'd me. It says Sherman County approved his recommendation amount of $100,000 and $100,000 as loans. So, anyway.
$100,000.
And he says 100,000 and 100,000 as loans.
Oh, two loans of $100,000.
Yep, so,
Well, that'll hold them for a couple days.
yeah, it will.
We'll
It'll get the bills paid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and we'll get it,
Well,
new court will
the new court can deal with it.
deal with it.
Yeah, they're definitely going to have to deal with it, not only soon, but later
Right.
also.
Oh, yeah. Definitely still an emergency.
Yep.
Right.
Okay.
Well, sir.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
Take care. Everybody? Yep. Right, on the road.
See ya.
All right. Thank you. We'll see more of you, I'm sure, so, as we move on. And again, I apologize, but it's kind of one of those family things that got to do it. So,
I'm not feeling so good.
Oh, quit.
Court's adjourned.
You're still senior, you gotta take over.
Well, I've only done this twice.
I'm going to have a
Another
suitcase,
time that I,
or a car full of suitcases, and my wife was concerned about me bringing my court briefcase.
well, only one other
Another
time.
time. Well, good, I'm glad you can do it
I
again.
can't do anything without it. Okay. See you tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, see you. Okay, talk to you later.
So at this
All right.
time,
Goodbye, everybody.
at this time, we have Judge Cris Patnode coming forward with her report.
Good afternoon, how are you?
Good.
Okay. All right, the reason I'm here is I haven't been here for a while, and I'm Judge Cris Patnode, Gilliam County Justice of the Peace. In 1987, the Gilliam County Court, under Judge Laura Pryor, A.B. Clough, and Alan Anderson, approved a court order creating the Gilliam County Justice Court. And this is what the order says: that the Arlington Justice Court is hereby abolished, that the boundaries of the Condon Justice Court are modified so that they include all of Gilliam County, that this court shall henceforth be known as the Gilliam County Justice Court. That's the court order. The Gilliam County Justice Court has been operating since 1987. However, we have been operating with two independent branches, the Arlington Justice Court and the Condon Justice Court. I made the decision to consolidate those branches, to abide by the court order, and to operate as the Gilliam County Justice Court. So this will make no change whatsoever for the public. I will continue to go to Condon on Tuesdays, just as I always have. I'm going to the Gilliam County Justice Court and holding court in Condon on Tuesday. The rest of the time will be unchanged also. I will continue in Arlington. So this is just an administrative change. It does abide by the court order, however, because we are no longer referring to the courts as the Arlington Justice Court and the Condon Justice Court, because we've been using that term. So what I've done is I have a letter that I'll give you a copy of that I provided to law enforcement. Oregon State Police, Gilliam County Sheriff's Office, and Port of Entry, which just outlines the changes. And I just wanted to make you aware of it in case you hear anything about anything changing. It's not going to be a change to the public. In fact, this is going to better serve the public. Currently, when there's citations cited into the Condon Justice Court, the Condon Justice Court is only open on Tuesdays, and they do not get service until the following Tuesday if I don't communicate with them. With my changes, all communication will be through my staff in Arlington. So if there's a citation that was cited into the Condon Court, they're going to receive service, whether it's Monday through Friday. Being able to call the Arlington Court. The only change I'm going to make is I'm changing my traffic docket day from Monday to Wednesday at 9 a.m. That's the only change. And so that's what I wanted to make you aware of.
Question?
Yes.
Okay, so if you're cited into the Condon Court, you can't come to Arlington to do it?
Yes, you can, because
Oh,
the
okay.
boundaries of the Justice Court are, it would just take a phone call to the Arlington Justice Court, to the Gilliam County Justice Court at the Arlington phone number,
Right.
and making that request.
Okay.
Because there's no county lines, and that letter says the boundaries of the Gilliam County Justice Court include the entire county. So it'll be the discretion of law enforcement as to which location will be cited into. So, did you have anything? I ran this by Ruben, and he concurred that we're fine to go ahead and do this.
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I mean, it would, if there were such a request, though, to change the location, it would be up to the defendant to make that request, to get it to the court.
Right.
They couldn't just show up at the Gilliam.
No.
Right,
But,
exactly.
Yeah, but I don't see an issue with that if they make that request.
This was done just this last month in Morrow County Justice Court. They're very similarly designed. They have a court order as well that was adopted a long time ago, but they operated independently as the Oregon and Patnode Justice Courts, and they're doing the exact same thing. So it was nice to have another court to go through this with. Wheeler County did the same thing because they had Fossil and Mitchell. Judge Ordway combined those. So it was good that we already had the order just to act upon. So.
Wonder why they abolished the Arlington Court and kept the Condon one?
I don't know why they did it that way.
I can answer that.
Okay.
Because it's a justice court that's within city limits, they had to keep that court intact to retain that jurisdiction
Okay.
within the city limits, because otherwise it would be going to the
That's
circuit
right.
court, so.
Okay.
But they could have abolished the Condon one and kept the Arlington one then?
No, if they'd done that, they would have lost jurisdiction within the city limits of Condon. So that was.
Why didn't they lose jurisdiction in Arlington then, when they abolished it?
They didn't
Because
have
it's
it.
not the county seat.
Not the county seat.
Oh, okay, that's the key then.
There's a weird rule with
Okay,
circuit court
county.
jurisdiction in the county seat,
Okay,
and because it was an already
okay.
established justice court, it kept it there.
Okay. County seat. Thank you.
Okay. Since I'm here, I won't take very much more time, but because I haven't been here for a while, I just was reflecting on my time on the bench. It's been since 2003, so it's 16 years. So I just wrote out some of the things that have changed in those 16 years, and I thought they were really interesting. Of course, legislative changes, there's changes every year. Some have been significant, some have been minor, some have been major. One of the changes legislatively that happened last session, maybe session before, is this change is not all bad. I think this is a good thing. What it says is that a non-attorney judge, let me rephrase that. A justice court judge, pro tem, or a justice court judge must be a member of the Oregon State Bar or have completed the 2-week special jurisdiction course at the National Judicial College. Most of us do that anyway, that are lay judges. 99.9% of judges, it's something you should do. The problem comes in with pro temps. I previously had utilized my clerk, for example, for traffic arraignments, and now I can't do that unless she goes to that 2-week course. So what it has done, it's created a bit of encumbrance for me ever being gone. So that's one of the reasons why I changed that Monday traffic docket to Wednesday, because traffic and criminal are all on one day now. So it frees me up a little bit more. But one of the things the justices of the peace have done is just coordinated, and we pro tem for each other. For example, I'm going to Grant County on Thursday all day. And if I ever have to recuse myself, which is a requirement if there is any potential of, if fairness is compromised in a case, that I would have to recuse myself, I would just have to use another justice of the peace, whether that be an attorney or a non-attorney judge. I've seen first medical marijuana and now legalized marijuana since 2003. And that has been a transition that we saw progress over the last 16 years. The use of technology in the conjunction of operation of a motor vehicle has greatly changed. The newest generation of drivers now was born in 2002. It's very interesting. These drivers have only known technology and have grown up using technology as a daily tool. This affects all of us as this generation is now behind the wheel. I've seen the laws change related to hands-free and distracted driving. They've been strengthened because of the change in technology. I've seen intoxicated driver laws strengthened in Oregon. The speed limit increased here. That's a new change. 5 miles an hour may seem minor, but there's, sometimes you give people an inch and they take more than that. The imposition of serious penalties for 100+ mile-an-hour speeds has been a change. That was a driver's license suspension and a high, over $1,000 fine for that now. And we have a significant amount of those on Interstate 84. I've seen an increase in mental health cases in my court over the last 16 years. Finding ways to provide resources while balancing the attainment of justice has been a challenge, but also rewarding in some cases. Implementation of a collection agency to collect unpaid fines, implementation of online payment systems for credit cards, electronic citations issued by Oregon State Police, and electronic convictions sent to Oregon DMV. So court security changes in our court, pendulum swing and operation procedures of the court due to national and societal issues, and a raised awareness about those changes. As society changes, sometimes there comes down case law and court cases that affect how we do things in our courts. All of the above involves a continual effort to master the craft of being a judge. Every day trying to learn, improve, and grow. Cris Nix, I'm going to leave you with this. Cris Nix left 2 judicial articles on my desk when she left the bench after being there for 18 years. One of them says, and I still have them right here, I had to re-copy them because it got all tattered, but good judge principles, an asset to any bench. And just the tips on that were, make everyone in your court feel comfortable and at ease. Obtain as much judicial education as possible. Efficient court administration is important and necessary. More important is attainment of justice, though. When the two collide, as they will, efficiency must yield. Make your court a temple of truth and justice. The other is the 10 commandments of a new judge. Be kind, be patient, be dignified. Don't take yourself too seriously. Remember that a lazy judge is a poor judge. Don't be dismayed by reversals. Remember there is no unimportant case. Don't impose long sentences. Don't forget your common sense. And the last one is pray for divine guidance. So that's what has happened over the last 16 years.
Pro tem judges.
Yes.
So who
are
don't we
approve those?
have? I didn't realize Grant County was one of them.
I am Grant County's. She is not mine.
Oh, okay.
Yes, is that what you're meaning?
Yeah, that's.
Yes,
It's
I
not
do-
all totally 100% reciprocal, in other words.
No.
Okay.
Because of the distance, for some reason, see, not all of us justices of peace handle criminal court.
Oh,
So, for example, she couldn't use Judge McDermott in Sherman County because he doesn't handle criminal court. So, some of our pools are limited based on what we do. Judge Stinnett in Grant County does handle criminal court, and so do I. So, I use Judge Spicer in Morrow County, and I use Judge McDermott in
Right.
Sherman County. Those are my two.
yeah.
So if I ended up running into a problem and for some reason I couldn't use them, I would just ask for another pro tem to be added.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the next one we have on our schedule is Teddy Bennering, the Family Services Coordinator, her semi-annual report.
Hello. Hello. I did not prepare documents for all of you. I'm just going to give kind of an oral report, and then I guess if there's anything that you need, I can give you what I'm reading from. Just been super busy. We've been working a lot on food insecurity for our residents, and been spending quite a bit of time with the Veggie RX program. I think I may have told you a little bit about it before, but it is a program that we're doing through our local community advisory council to the EOCCO. And we put some grant monies into what we call the Veggie RX. And participants, if they qualify for the program, can get a little booklet of coupons that they can use locally at either Condon or Fossil stores to go in and buy fresh fruits and vegetables. And then each booklet is $30 worth. This is not our whole county number because there are, well, currently I think Jennifer Gold is the only other one that's doing that for us as well. But I am serving 61 households, which comes up to 126 people, and 112 voucher booklets per month at $30 each. So that's quite a bit of funding that's coming back into our community locally for the fruits and vegetables. So overall, not only is it helping those families, it's helping our grocery stores, and as we're getting more and different and better variety of fruits and vegetables, it's helping everybody. So anybody can go to the store and find a little more stuff when you want to go and buy stuff. I actually have probably about 12 more families maybe waiting to get in on the program, the whole full intakes, and getting them signed up. We've, at this point in time, have been told that we're pretty much running out of our funds for our grant for this year, and the new grant will not come in and take effect until March. So
Will it be bigger then?
it's going to be about the same amount, and so we are, this right now is a 3-county program. It's Gilliam, Sherman, and Harney County, and Wheeler County is looking at the possibility of coming into that. Gobi is our program coordinator, and so they have somebody who can handle all those different counties and get the vouchers out to us, who then we work locally to prescribe. But we're looking at trying to have to get additional grant funding to make it work for everybody. It's really taken off, and it's serving
Right.
a lot of families.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. So I also do energy assistance through our Condon Food Pantry. And for this year so far, since October 1st, we've helped 13 families. And that amount has totaled up to $4,825.61. And that's, like I said, it's just current. So we started October 1st and we go through. So we're kind of in the beginning of our fiscal year right now for that.
And where do the funds come now for that? Is it?
For that, we are granted funds through the Gilliam County Court.
And that, okay. There are some other programs that help on, like, the electrical, and Capco does
Yes.
some type.
Correct. So we, and also with the Arlington Health, I think is what they're called, we both ask for money and do local programs to help with energy assistance.
Okay.
Capco is our provider for some energy assistance as well for, they help a lot of families that are seniors, disabled, I think get the top priority, and then they come back and help everybody else if you qualify. Also, the Oregon Energy Fund worked with, I forget who it is, but one of the local programs here, EDP, I think. Anyways, they just gave $5,000, and Capco is going to be the provider to do that just for Arlington residents.
Right.
to get some-
Because Pacific
Yes, yes, yeah.
money that comes from them to the energy deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyways, I was just going to say the Oregon Energy Fund reports that 1 in 5 households skip food or medication to pay for electricity. 1 in 3 households struggle to pay their bills, and 1 out of 10 keep their homes at an unhealthy temperature just to reduce the cost, to try and make it work. So we're serving, going back to just food pantry stuff, in Condon we're serving an average of 41 households per month at the food pantry, and that equals out to actually 72.8 or 73 people out of those 41 households. That's an average monthly service.
And how do people get onto that program?
So for the food pantries, there is an income limit, and honestly, I can't tell you what it is right now because I didn't think to bring all that information. But they just come to distribution day, or they can come to me and say that they, need some assistance, and then we figure out if you qualify for the number of people in your family, then I just take them in and can get them their food pantry. Monthly allocation is how we do it. And Condon is, generally it's about the 3rd Monday of the month, but
Anyway,
the
you'd be
dates
the one
change
to
a
go
little
to.
bit. Yes, for Condon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Yep, and on the outside of the door and stuff, there's a whole thing that we have to put up from Capco that says that everything that we do, and then my number to contact for emergency.
Who do they go to for Arlington?
Arlington is K West
Oh,
and
the
Carrie
help.
Cowan, yeah. through
Yeah, I
Arlington
know,
Help.
I know they're the ones that operate the help, but I just didn't know if there was a county contact
No.
for them.
What happened was the group of volunteers that were running the Condon one had been doing it for 20 years and over, and they said, we're tired and we need help. And at that time, it happened to be the Resource Connection Group, which had county people on board. Ended up taking that over, and then they merged together to become one. And so I stayed on as a contact for them. Arlington still has a group of volunteers that are continuing to still volunteer and aren't asking for further help from anybody yet.
But if somebody contacted you, you'd send them, you'd get them hooked up with the Arlington.
Oh, absolutely,
Right.
yeah. If they, we're supposed to, just go pretty much sort of a mid-level county line. If you are this way, you can go to Condon, if you're that way, come here. As long as you're not double dipping, so to speak, you could live in Arlington and still come to the Common Pantry if that's where you work and that's where you needed to be, just whatever. Or I'm sure vice versa. And just another thing is the Condon Food Pantry was allocated a $2,500 grant administered through CAPCO from the Oregon Community Foundation for the food pantry to help buy additional food, and we can use it to pay for our shipping costs that CAPCO charges each month to bring up food. They also, we have to do a yearly required training for food pantries with CAPCO, and then now they are going to require that every volunteer we have do training to go through for civil rights and to make sure we have food handling correctly and just kind of general management overall. So I'm going to be working with the people down here to make sure that we just get everything that we need to do and all our volunteers together, and I'll provide the training for everybody. That'll be after the first of the year. We haven't done that yet. So going to the local community advisory council, I'm the coordinator for that. As I mentioned, we've been working a lot on the VeggieRx program. We've been working on a colorectal cancer screening project. Maybe some people, even in the room, have received some kits in the mail saying, you're of this target age group. Here's why we want you to do it with the information, and asking for you to send it back. The Arlington clinic is the one who you would send it back to, and then they would give you results and give you a referral if you need further follow-up. And for the summer, I did provide jobs for 17 community work experience kids in various different places throughout our communities. For instance, like the museum, Ace Hardware, child cares, all kinds of different places. There was also 6 kids that were involved with the OICC crew, 1 adult crew leader, and we provided the payroll stuff for 2 internships that the county funded through Alan Cunningham's program as well. So with that, January is usually the start back of writing the grant for OICC, so we're kind of going to get started right back into it right after the holidays. And so currently, probably the biggest thing that I've been kind of working on is holiday assistance for kids, and we partner with DHS and food pantries and local people to make sure that everybody who we know that are of lower income or whatever, struggling, get their kids signed up for assistance with the giving trees that we have in both of the banks. And there, for Gilliam County, was about 65 to 70 kids that I know of that had names put on the trees. So there's a lot of kids that we've been trying to get stuff delivered out to, get gifts, whatever, all those different things. And then in addition to that, of course, I'm on the Four Rivers Early Learning Hub, governance board member, representative to the regional early childhood team, and then the Gilliam Wheeler early childhood team. They are currently working on trying to figure out a tri-county position for Gilliam, Sherman, and Wheeler for our parent education hub coordinator and the North Central Public Health District community health worker. So it'll end up being a full-time position, and it will be out in one of the 3 counties. And Gobi is also going to be a part of that. They are going to make this person like a go-be employee, and they will help set them up with a home office and all of that. So we don't have to worry about, where to house somebody and all of that. So trying to work out the stuff on how to do that and get a job description put together and get out and get somebody hired. So I'm sure there's lots of other stuff, but I'll let you guys go with that. Do you have any other questions about anything, or?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
The next item that we have on our agenda is the presentation by Rachel Weinstein and a request for support of the Eastern Oregon Visitors Association.
Yes, thank you, and I am asking the Gilliam County Court for a letter of support for the Eastern Oregon Visitor Association, who is reapplying to be one of the 7 regional destination management organizations in the state of Oregon. That would enable us to be the administrators of the transient lodging tax program, which is referred to as RTCP, Regional Tourism Cooperative Program. And so this program is in its the second year of its biennium. When the state passed the 0.8% lodging tax increase, the Oregon Tourism Commission through Travel Oregon came up with this RCTP program. So the increase in the budget for tourism has gone up significantly as a result. When I took the job in 2015, the budget for the Eastern Oregon Visitor Association was $50,000. After that, the Travel Oregon changed the formula for how they distribute the lodging tax funds and around the 7 wonders of Oregon, 2 of which we have in our 11 county region, the Painted Hills and the Wallowas. So we now are effectively in the second year of a $300,000 budget that if we would like to exist, we need to be, we're reapplying. The request for proposal is due the 28th of this month. Tourism as a result with this infusion has had economic development benefits across the state. And within the 11 county region, the John Day River Territory, which is Sherman, Gill, and Weaver and Grant counties, is one of the 4 sub-regions within Eastern Oregon. And so it's a much, tourism is just funded hugely differently than when I started in 2015. And as a result, there's more investment by Travel Oregon. Conrad Hawk, who is our rare participant, is funded, half of his placements funded by Travel Oregon. So I'm asking the court just for a letter of support for the Eastern Oregon Visitor Association to remain that entity.
Okay. Not asking for dollars.
Nope, not asking for dollars.
More dollars, I should say.
More. Not more dollars, no, and that'll be later.
But that, I mean, we put money into the John Day River Territory.
Yes, $4,000.
Right. And what is the FAM?
Oh, a familiarity tour. It's when
The what?
it's those are tours that are put on for journalists and travel writers around both national and international. So
I mean, what's it stand for?
Familiarization tours.
Familiarization. Okay,
That's correct, right? Okay, that's what I thought.
okay. Well, that was in this letter.
Yes,
so I-
yes. No, and quite honestly, we're gonna be putting more money into those tours
Okay.
going forward than we've had this past biennium.
Can I make a motion?
Yep.
I move we approve a request for the letter of support for the Eastern Oregon Visitors Association.
I'll second it. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Welcome. Now, I believe the last item on our agenda is the court member reports. And I'll let you go first.
Okay.
Mine might be awful long, people might want to leave.
I attended a Columbia Ridge landfill CAC meeting right after our last meeting on December 5th. It was, as they usually are, but we did have a pretty good discussion. We talked about things all the way from, one of our committee members wanted us to limit cell phone usage by waste management employees, while they were on the job. We talked about how many rollovers they've had this year, and are they policing the 35-mile-an-hour speed limit. We were introduced to a new hydrogeologist out there. Had another member of the committee that brought up the dumpster where everybody goes on Saturdays to put their trash in. They're not taking as good care of the cleanup around it, and so there's concern about tires and on personal vehicles. So that was brought up that they could do a little better job of keeping that area cleaned up. Also a little bit about letter out on Blaylock, and if there's anything they could do to talk to their employees about trying not to litter. We also asked for if there was an update on the clinic, and one of our members thought that there was a hearing that had been scheduled for November 27th, but management didn't know anything about that. And then finally, the last thing that was mentioned to them was that while we were waiting for the train to get into the meeting, it was noticed that the gondolas were leaking, and so they might want to take a look at that. So anyway, so pretty good meeting there. Then I went to the North Central Public Health District Board meeting on December 11th, and that was good. That was the first full board meeting we'd had for a couple months. We'd had some scheduling conflicts and hadn't been able to go. But Terry gave her update about what had been happening during the last quarter, including the audit. And that the WIC staff recently completed a biennial review, and that the feedback that they'd received from OHA was positive. And what else? Oh, she also mentioned that they're doing a lot of stuff with staff right now, trying to improve, I think, morale and just how things go in their own organization. And she said one of the things they talked about is that they're doing, they've revamped their performance appraisals. They've gotten away from giving numbers. You know how they used to be like 1 through 5, and they totally quit doing that. They're doing quarterly check-ins now with staff to discuss if they're meeting their goals, and it just sounded like it had had a positive effect on their staff, just changing that one thing. But anyway, she talked about a lot of changes they're making, and it sounded like they're doing pretty well. And those are the only two that I went to since last meeting.
Okay.
What do you got?
I didn't do anything. Well, anything formal. I had worked on the bridge deal here this week quite a bit, and I've been going to Capco on Friday. And so that position is still kind of in question.
But they did say it didn't have to be a court member, right?
Correct.
Right on. Just checking. Good.
Anyway, and it doesn't necessarily have to be from Gilliam County, because it's Wheeler and Gilliam. So I had told Paula to send a letter out to the two courts and lay out what the bylaws are of the Capco in terms of, and then they're probably going to have the suggestion that I continue on the board, so,
Were you willing to consider something like that?
at least temporary.
Okay.
I know the new court has a lot on its plate to start with. And, not like when I started. It seemed like I had plenty of time to play golf when I started. But,
Doesn't your term run till June anyways?
well, but
Okay.
officially I couldn't fill that position if, if the local governments didn't want me to.
Right, but they don't have to replace you till June.
No.
But we can.
Yeah, they can. I've tried, but not very successful. Yeah, so just a little bit about my tenure as being commissioner. It started out, my agenda was to keep processes, and I never realized how much the finances were going to change during this time with all the windmills. And so, I mean, I've seen a lot of this change, and the most difficult part was how to spend the money that was coming in. And it still is, it's a challenge for the next court too. And I guess I've become more conservative over the time. When we first got the money, man, it was like, whoo! But it's very important that we gotta take a lot of consideration, take time to think how we're gonna spend, use these resources that we're being given. And so I want to give the new court a lot of encouragement to carry on. And beyond that, is there anything else?
Well, I better say something to you then. I thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. I've learned a lot.
Thank
And
you.
Good luck in the next chapter.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I have your phone number.
How many years were you a commissioner?
12. Yeah, 3 terms. Yeah. Nothing else? This meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
Next meeting is
January 2nd at
January
1
the
p.m.
2nd at 1 p.m.
I missed something.